The Marcia Week Show. It's the Marcia Week Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Week Show. It's the Marcia Week Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Week Show. Talk truth, build roots, stories unfold. Motivate change, mobilize is the mode, that's the MR code. Hey! We growing, we know it.
United as a nation, blessed from above, strong to have made it this far.
Unafraid of the future, surrounded by love.
Proud of who we are. These fields and the hills, beyond recall, they lift us up and never let us fall. We write on the pages of history, legends to legacy. We will all stand together as one.
This is our land forever. Yeah.
Guarded by angels, heaven on earth.
This is our home.
Gem of the Caribbean, diamond of the world,
Shine your light on everyone. Yeah. our shelter from the storm. Guide us when tomorrow comes.
Under your blue skies, let the children sing.
Light up their lives, teach them everything.
A road has been built for us all to be free. Yeah, yeah. Legends to legacy. Oh, we will all stand together as one.
This is our land. Forever, forever, forever. Guardian angels, heaven on earth.
This is our home, Barbados.
We will all stand together as one. This is our land. Forever.
Guarded by angels,
Heaven on earth, this is
our home, Barbados.
our home, Barbados.
Ah, that's beautiful. So beautiful. Pleasant good evening to every single one of you, and welcome to the Marcia Week Show. We're coming to you live from Barbados, and I know you're wondering, where's my flag? And the flag is here, guys. The flag is here. Welcome, welcome to Barbados. Earlier up, you heard the national anthem of Barbados. The first song that you heard after our intro was the national anthem of Barbados. And then you heard this beautiful love song about Barbados. And it is so fitting for the 60th anniversary, independence anniversary, 60th. 60 and for that we are encouraging Barbadians to fly your flags, fly it with honor, be proud of it, fly that flag at your home, on your car, at your business. Did you get yours on your house yet? Listen, this weekend, go ahead, man, go into town and get one, even if it's a small one. Get one up on your house. Get one up on your car. Put it on your business. Fly the flag with honor. 60 years. 60 years. It's not 60 months or 60 days. It's 60 years. That's a lot to celebrate. And we should not let anyone stop us from celebrating. Nobody should stop us from celebrating. This is a time of celebration. I tell you, this is a time of celebration. Isn't it interesting that, people like to put on a lot of effects, and everywhere you turn is a effect. But once it comes on to the 60th, there's nothing. Isn't that something? What we should be celebrating, we're not celebrating. That is really, really interesting. But before I go on, let me just let you know what's coming up tonight on tonight's show. Have you been learning anything from the shows? If you've been learning anything from the shows, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you've not been learning. On the Marcia Week Show, we do Emma. We educate, we motivate, we mobilize, and we agitate. That's what we do here on the Marcia Week Show. And we've been having some great shows over the last couple of weeks. I tell you, because the education has been strong. The education has been strong through our legal corner, the health corner, through politics, through all kinds of areas. We're learning about how the public sector works. My goodness, how government works. Isn't that amazing? All of that is happening right here on the Marcia Week Show. And tonight will be no different, you see, because at 7:30, we have former Senator Andre Worrell is going to join us, and he's going to share his bit on the land tax. He's going to give us his take on that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit on the Santia Bradshaw blame game. Poor Santia. They have a sitcom that's Everybody Loves Chris. Well, it seems like now everybody inside there loves Chris. I don't know who Chris is. Everybody loves Chris. Everybody hates Santia. Is that what it is now? Everybody loves Chris. Everybody hates Santia. What's going on here? But I want to show you something. I have a little timeline I want to go through with you, and I'm going to prove to you that there is something going on in there, and they have thrown this young lady under the bus with no desire of scraping her above the floor. Nobody's coming to scrape her above the floor. In fact, the PM is driving the bus. She's the one who's driving the bus. Then we're going to look at St. Lucie. We have someone from St. Lucie is going to join us, and that is none other than Stephen Strickland. And he lives there, so he would be able to tell us what's happening there, because we hear that St. Lucie has clear water. Well, some of St. Lucie has clear water. And if that is true, I think that is wonderful. That is really, really wonderful. And, so we really need to look at that and to look to see, is it just a campaign promise that is being fulfilled, or are we going into another election campaign? Are we moving now into the by-elections? Is this sort of the by-elections? And then we're going to nip it in the bud tonight. Enough is enough with the Uber situation. The Uber. I have 2 videos from Matthew B that I'm going to play, and also a voice note from a tourist. And we are hoping that Matthew B will be able to call in about 9 o'clock and have that discussion with us. We also have Maxine McClean is going to call in to talk about the Uber and the taxi industry. We want to give some life to the taxi men tonight. And so if you know anybody who is into the taxi service, tell them to plug in here, please, because we're going to talk about them. I want to say on behalf of the Watchmen, I've received messages from them saying thank you to the Marcia Week Show for highlighting what is happening to them. And they told us that they're going to keep us informed so we will know whether or not they have begun to get the adjustment that is due them, their pay adjustment. We're still waiting on, I know that the teachers were contacted because I saw something came in the paper a few days after we raised it on the show. So we know that those that marked the exam, they said that they were going to pay them. We're still waiting. The last time I checked, the cleaners, the police office cleaners did not get their money yet. I should be able to give you an answer, I think, by Sunday as to whether or not they've received it. I'm going to do all the follow-up. There are some other stories that we have, but we're doing some checking before we bring those stories to you. I want to say that we're not forgetting the Ombudsman report. Please do not forget it. We're going to keep at it, because it is very, very important that that voice is preserved. It's an independent voice. And so that independent voice must be supported in a country like this, where our democracy is at stake. We have no opposition. When an independent voice speaks, it is important that we listen. If you love Barbados, you will listen to independent voices. Very important. Well, tonight, I'm going to also address the Prime Minister directly. So those of you who are watching from the government, you can take your notes and go back to her, because I'm going to respectfully address her tonight. There's something she said in the media, and I want to bring some information that I found online that was printed in our nation's two newspapers, and I would ask her for some clarification, please. So I'm kindly asking you, please take proper notes, those of you who are assigned to watch from the government, and let her know of the concerns that we have on the show. And we are not making wild accusations and wild suggestions on wild anything. I'm gonna show that to you. And so the prime minister will then need to come and provide for us all of the information to give us a better understanding, because we could be wrong. Okay. All right. So that's what's coming up on the show tonight at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, guys. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. We want you to call in and to share your concerns and what you've been hearing, what you've been reading, what your thoughts are. All right. Some of you have started calling me today already. Commissioner, I got your message. I was busy trying to get ready and to make sure that I'm fact checking myself and doing the best I can to bring the information, correct information to you. Okay. All righty. Now, let me just go quickly and start to greet everybody who's joined, because you are also part of this team, and we work together. A lot of the topics that we discuss are topics that you've sent me, even those in the diaspora. Thank you. But whenever you send me stuff, I might not respond to you right away because of all the information that's coming in. Please understand that. But I'm reading. Yes. Hey Judy, how are you doing? Judy, did you put up your flag yet on your home? Guys, we need to see some more pictures of flags. You don't have to give away where you live. We don't have to see and to breach your privacy, but you can do a close-up shot so we won't see your street or anything, and send it in, right? We only had 2. We needed to send in the flag, please, on your homes. All right. Angela, good night. Bajan boy. Andrea Critchlow, Monica Ince, Jefferson Sobers, Teroni, Macaroni. I like to tease him. Hey, Judy, Calendar, how are you doing? Lori Bob. I have an idea for Tiger I'm working on, and I'm going to give you a call, my darling. Mavis Lashley, Sherry Johnson. Oh, Lordy. Mavis Lashley. Hugh Shepherd. We haven't chatted in a long time. These are all my friends, I tell you, listen, when they think they're attacking me, they need to realize that, listen, I got a whole set of people behind me. Hugh, you know that. Lori Bob, Sherry Berry, Barry Fully. Listen, I got angels behind there. And then we got people behind there, Derek Aline, he's got people behind him. I'm a big girl. How you doing? Ooh, I feel that strength there. Matthew B, I feel the strength coming for the taxi drivers. Yes. I'm excited. Beverly, Sonia Perch, together we can do so much. We can accomplish so much, Carol. And that's why I call everybody's name Shirley, I'm a big girl. John Clark. Oh, my lordy. Ari, it's first time I'm seeing this name. Ari LV. Aria. Good. Hey, Cam. Mystic Angel. Diana Husbands. Woo. Listen. Oh, the thumbs up are going up. Shirley says, and I think Shirley's in Canada, if it's the same Shirley. Shirley says, Marcia, my sister introduced me to this show. Since then, I've never missed a day. Oh, awesome. Hello, M. Hoyt. Good, good, guys, and thanks for the prayers. Whenever you're praying, I also feel those prayers, and I need you to pray. My husband and I cross your mind, or anybody, Maxine, McClean, anybody, Rose Corbin comes into your mind. You're in the kitchen, you stop and you pray for us. Pray for Dr. Derek Ali. You hear what I tell you? You pray for him. All right. Thank you so much, Vihoy. Thank you so much, Vihoy. Thank you for the stuff that you sent me. Some of my posts this week came from what you sent me, and you are one of those I was thinking of. I haven't had a chance to call you yet, but I'm spending time on you this evening because M. Gardner and Andrea Merritt and Shante Grant, Sir Alfred Benjamin from Brooklyn. Outside of you, when we come on here this evening, all of us, we what could we do if we don't have you all? We don't have you all. And so, we don't, this is not a paid site. It's not about the clicks and all of that. Because we're not paid for clicks here. We have chosen not to monetize, to make sure that we bring you information in integrity, not because we believe we're going to get clicks and likes. Okay. There are many things I could come on here and say, Adrian Bascom, and I don't, because if I don't feel comfortable with it and I've done enough, I'm not going to say it. I can't say it. Why would I do that? Okay. And there are cases where I'd say, well, I have an opinion on something. All right. Like tonight, you're going to hear me say I have an opinion on why the Prime Minister is in St. Lucie. And talking about the water, which we're glad for the people of St. Lucie. We can recognize that, but we can separate the political strategy from the fact that the people are starting to get clean water. You follow me? We can separate that because she's a politician and we're told that she's a shrewd politician. That's what we're told. So when we can look beyond what she's doing and see what she's doing, yeah, right? Then I'm sorry, I saw something. Adrian making me laugh. Adrian Bascom. If we can see what she's doing, then I'm going to say what I think. I will tell you when it's what I think. But when, like tonight, the Prime Minister has made some statements. However, I found articles online that contradicts that. And so then I'm going to present that and respectfully ask the Prime Minister of Barbados to clarify that, because it is very possible that we do not understand what we're reading. It's very possible. Okay. Now, Adrian is asking me about the carrot. Adrian, we cook it. We love carrots. The 2 carrots, I had 1 carrot last week and then another one on Sunday night. Those are gone. You see how nice that carrot was? Carrot's expensive, I will have to buy another one. I am sure the carrot has been cooked or put in a smoothie or something. That's gone. Okay. Somebody in this house said, Marcia, where the carrot you had on the stick? The carrot is gone. Food too expensive for me to have that as a prop. We gotta eat it. I'm a big girl. And Henry, listen, I don't eat. I used to love to eat chocolates. I haven't eaten one in a long time. I have no Henry, but I'm gonna buy one and keep it here because I think Santia needs that Henry. I'm gonna buy that one and keep it right on my desk. Right? Oh Lordy, I tell you, you all are so funny. And I thank you for the support and the love. And most importantly, the prayers. We need your prayers. As we're talking about prayers, let me just say in the next 5 minutes, I want to recognize the young lady and I believe she's from Springer. Why is that? Has left my mind now. And she, it is reported that she took her own life, and I just want to send condolences from this show to that family tonight, and to say to all of us to look after our young people, listen to them. I know sometimes it's not easy because they give a lot, they can be they give a lot of trouble sometimes very rebellious, sometimes want to go do their own thing, but a lot of times they're depressed. Sometimes when you see them not wanting to get up out of bed and to get to school, sometimes they are depressed. The world is depressing. And so we've got to be, yes, be kind. Do not use every opportunity. It's not everything that you have to bring a heavy hand to. You have to think about what you're doing and be kind. And that's what we have a young adult living with us, and I often have to stop and say, okay, Marcia, I know you're frustrated because you're saying the same thing over and over, but be kind. A kind word, show a bit more understanding. We don't know what they're going through, and what I'm hearing is that there are quite a number of suicides that are happening, but it's not being reported. And this is a very serious thing, okay? And be kind to them, please. Be kind. Sometimes, I am here and you see somebody passing. Sometimes some of the guys look so rough, the hair tangled up, the pants down at the behind, dropping you, showing your underwear and all of that. And some of us, we pass and we're like rolling our eyes like, oh my God, give me a break, but sometimes just a smile, you know or just give them a thumbs up or give a smile. Don't all, because we don't know what people are going through, and sometimes they can feel what we're giving off, right? So let's be kind. Be kind to them. Yeah. All right. We have with us former Senator Andre Worrell, and I don't know if he knows it. He's one of my people. When I say my people, I mean I love this young man because why I say that, and I'll tell you the truth. I like leaders who are servants. And I remember this young man when he was a president, I believe, or the acting president, somewhere thereabout. And I saw him serving, sweating, working, dirty, and I just love servant leaders, people who, because that's the only way I know how to do it, to get involved and I can't be here, I'm here, and then I'm gonna get involved and sweep the floor and do that. Is the kind of leadership that I know. And so people who display that kind of leadership, I just take a liking to them, and I have always done that with former Senator Andre Worrell. Well, let me welcome him here to the show once again. Good evening, Andre. How are you?
Hi, good night, Marcia, and good night to all of the viewers of the most popular nighttime show in Barbados.
Well, I think it's because thank you, but it's on behalf of the people. It's their show, and it is what they are, what they bring to the table. They give me the topics,
Hmm.
and sometimes they call for the people. Sometimes they say, "Where is Mr. Warren? We want to see Andre again," and they quarrel with me. So it's because of them. But we're happy to have you, and I know you have a lot on your mind, so I'm just going to let you go at it.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. And definitely the show is needed because it is the only thing right now that gives that critical assessment of what is going on in Barbados on a weekly and almost on a daily basis. And I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I know that there's a lot going on in Barbados. It's a complete circus, it's a complete mess. But there are a few issues that have been popping up alongside of the circus or within the circus, such as the fiasco with the land tax bills, which for many people came late and are after the deadline for the discounts. And then you heard that there was an error in the calculation of the bills, and now persons who may have paid may have overpaid already, and the government will now go through the process of reissuing those bills with the correction. And I you have to wonder, why is it that so many things are happening in this country in this chaotic fashion? The why was it that you could not give the simple permission for a circus to set up? Now we are hearing about oil being possibly dumped in an area, and you have the whole issues with the zoning and stuff like that. But there are a number of issues that we need to focus on. And if we look at the land tax bills, I also want to look at the the progress of the country in terms of agriculture from the perspective of the land tax bills. Now, if as I drive, I live in St. John, and you would know that I've been going walking, um, and the area that I go is formerly coal land, right? Which is
Former Clico.
yes, yes,
Ah,
which is now under the government of Barbados. And a lot of that land is still idle and not back into agricultural production. When and those are very fertile land. And you saw this government seem to have an appetite to take some of that land out of agricultural production and into housing. Because as you go across Barbados, you're seeing a number of new housing developments being developed, and a lot of it is coming, taking up what used to be very productive agricultural land. They did it with the land at Pool, where they tried to build a housing development there, but all of those houses which were built are covered in bush. And that is
mm,
good agricultural land that has been taken out. And there's other land as you go past Huddersfield Plantation, between Huddersfield and I think, and that would be Pool Woods, which is not being properly maintained. You had a sugar crop this year, which was, by all standards, was very embarrassing, and for a country that boasts being in terms of needing the molasses for our rum production, and we cannot even develop proper yields in the sugar harvest. And oftentimes I wonder, what are they really harvesting? Because when you look at the fields that the machine is in, you see a lot of bush, you see a lot, and often it has a lot of coach and stuff like that, and all of that effort is going in with the cane. What really is the true quality of the cane that is being produced, and how much cane is actually being harvested from the fields compared to the actual bush? Now, I think that it's high time that this government be taken to task for their lack of leadership in agriculture, their lack of willingness to develop a proper agricultural framework and policy in this country. And it seemed the ease at which they're taking fertile agricultural land out of production for housing projects. And I also would want to chastise not just this administration, but it's something that has been happening for a long period of time. A lot of landowners benefit from having their land classified as agricultural land so that they
mhm,
will pay less for land tax. But when you actually look at that land, there is no agricultural production going on. You
mm.
just need to have a certain amount of trees per acre, fruit trees per acre, for it to be classified as an orchard or agricultural project. And many times, a lot of the properties that have those fruit trees, those fruits just bare, drop on the ground, rot. They don't go into any markets in Barbados. They don't go on any tables in Barbados to help reduce the cost of living and help to persons to have access to quality, healthy fruits and vegetables. Nothing of the sort. But yet still they benefit from paying the minimum tax rate for agricultural land. And a lot of these farmers are just waiting because they probably have applications in at town and country planning to subdivide the land for housing. And I don't think that that is fair to this country. If you are benefiting from a reduced tax rate as a farmer or for agricultural land, your land should be under production. Yes, we know that there are a number of challenges that farmers, but this is a government that spent over $35 million growing on Carifesta. The Well, we don't know the true figure because we asked, and you just hear things coming out through the grapevine. Lord knows how much they're spending on the grand market, which they're having right now, with the signs
Yeah.
just saying "Come hungry," but and a lot of expenses gone into this production, causing a lot of chaos in the Waterford area. But you're seeing the traffic going through to the venue, but Lord knows how much money was actually spent on that. Lord knows how much money was spent on the fiasco in terms of the Pickety Crop finals from Carrie House, Kensington, and then finally having it in the Botanical Gardens. The point that I'm making, this government has wasted a lot of money. And if it could divert some of those funds to help farmers in terms of um, cultivating the land, getting it plowed in a timely basis, providing them with incentives, upfront incentives, not just a rebate. For things like the fertilizers, the herbicides that they need in order to control the weeds and stuff like that, and get crop agricultural production back up and going. I do not like the idea of having to pay $6 a pound for sweet potatoes and
So,
stuff
yeah.
like that, right? Because that is a quality food for many Barbadians, and $6 a pound is taking it off of the plate and out of the mouths of a number of people. And we are complaining about the cost of living in this country. The government is trying to bully Massey and other large distributors to get regionally now to get involved in the price compact, which did not work in Barbados when it was introduced in 2020 and so forth. In fact, in my opinion, it led to the destruction of the poultry industry in Barbados. It nearly caused that industry to collapse, and it really did not do anything to reduce the cost of living and the price of food items on the supermarket shelves. You got one or two items that were of a lower cost, but the quality, the quantity was significantly reduced. So you really did not save anything. So instead of having to buy 1 tin of corn, you needed to buy two, or 1 tin of tuna. You now found yourself having to buy three at a reduced price, because what many of the manufacturers did, they sold it at a cheaper price, but they also took some of the products as well. And you cannot ask persons to subsidize their costs when they really have no control over that cost in the open market. So the price compact did not work, and having it at a regional level, it will not work. What you really need is incentives to boost agricultural production locally in your country, and also incentives to help reduce cost of living. You can take some of the I would always say this government has the cost of living where it is because we pay the most for our energy prices here in Barbados. We pay the most fuel at the pump, and the government waited until crop over season to decide when everybody would be out buying a bottle of gas if they have a stall for Kadooment or at any of the events. They took up the price of the bottled gas carry up, I think, £100 cylinder before, and for a number of months was $160 something, and then they took it to $180 something. So $20 or more went on to the cost of production for persons who utilize it, and they did it at the time when most people would be using it for the crop over season. So this is not a government that is really serious about reducing cost of living. This is a government that talks pretty. This is a government that will come with paint on their face and give you the impression that everything is well and rosy in Barbados. This is a government that will come after the fact and blame every and everybody else for the problems which they created. And we really need to be serious and stop acting like clowns in this country and be focused on meeting the needs of the people of Barbados, reducing the cost of living in this country, reducing the food import bill in this country. I
Mm,
was told recently that the food import bill has risen from roughly $750 million to over $1.2 billion under this current administration. What are they doing? And
mm.
everything that they touch in agriculture seems to fail. I remember the minister boasting about onions, and now you can hardly find onions in the supermarket. And
This present minister or the
I
minister
can't, you
before?
seem to be muted, Marcia.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
You're okay, I can't hear you, Marcia. You're muted. Right, but as I was saying, we have a lot of talk going on in the country, but we are not really getting the focus attention to touch the people where it actually matters. And that is one thing that I would like the government to really focus on. Are you serious about agriculture? When can we get the land, which a lot of it is under control of the government, back into agricultural production? And if we get those lands back into agricultural production, it will go a long way in helping to reduce the food bill, because you would have persons growing the sweet potatoes and the yams, which would, the quantity would bring down the price. You would also have other products coming in there, the cassava, the lettuce, and stuff like that. But we are seeing too much bush across this country. And not only that, but the bush is also creating grounds for activities that we would rather not see happening around us. You cannot feel safe walking in certain areas with the level of bush. It also looks very untidy and unsightly. A lot of the roadway has been taken up with the bush coming over, and you just need to look at the aesthetic of the country. There was a reason sugarcane production didn't just help in terms of the sugar production and the molasses, but the aesthetic of it as well, having the rows of the sugarcane, it made the country look a certain way, orderly, and those fields were well taken care of. And then the plantations as well also help to keep the roadways trim, along the roadways trim, because it would benefit them in terms of their production as well. So we really need to recognize that agriculture is not supposed to be a dying sector in Barbados. But if Barbados is supposed to move forward and actually see real economic growth that impacts and touch the lives of every household in Barbados, we need to put strong focus on agriculture. A lot of the things that are imported, I see that we've tried, I don't know if many Barbadians have recognized this, but we've tried with the imported milk products. And
Mm.
as soon as you
Yes.
open them at home, they're spoiled. So a lot of Barbadians are now going back to what? The local brand, because it seemed to have a longer shelf life. Because when a container of milk goes, leaves wherever it comes from, we don't know how long it spent on the ocean. I am even realizing now that the cheese is spoiled before you even get home. These
Mm.
sweet peppers that you get in the supermarket, you look at it and it's spoiled. So you buy it fresh in the supermarket. By the time you put it in the fridge, and you go back for it the next day or 2 days, it's soft, it is already spoiled. So the only way that if you want to have quality, and you need to focus on local access. For me, I things that I don't do. I have not bought chicken out of the supermarket. This is years. And I would feel hurt to do it. Better to go and buy my chicken from a local farmer that I have a relationship with, that I can call and I can say, well, look, I want 10 chickens. When can I pass and get that? And that is what we really need in Barbados. That eggs, the same thing. We really need to have those small farmers back, give them the opportunity to grow and purchase from your small farmers. You get better quality vegetables, you get better quality fruits, chickens, eggs, all of those things. And at the same time, you are putting money into a household. You are putting money into the hands of a mother who would need it, that she can then go and provide for her children and her family. That is what we need. And all of those persons who are getting the incentives, um, from the reduced tax rates but are not doing anything, we need to penalize those persons instead of penalizing the young person who took the opportunity to buy a 7,000 square foot lot but is not yet ready to build, or cannot yet afford to build, but they have to pay the highest land tax rates in this country. And when you look at it, a lot of land tax bills came out this year with a zero rate for plots with improved, I think, improved properties with a value, I think, is on the roughly around $400,000. A lot of those households have a zero balance and don't have to pay any taxes. But that person who took the opportunity to invest in land to build on in the next 10 years, they would have received a bill for as much as $400, $700, and so forth. And to me, that is unfair. And you need to also look at that land tax policy and stop penalizing small landowners who would have purchased a property but are not yet ready or have the to actually build the house on that property. Not everyone in Barbados can purchase land and house at the same time. And there are actually quite a few people who would prefer to purchase the land and then pick, as they would say, every weekend you do a little bit of work to get the house going. But they're being penalized in terms of the amount of money that they have to pay in land tax. And it is unfair when you compare that to a number of households in Barbados who are now not paying for land tax. $0 for land tax. But the person who owns a single property and who's not yet able to develop that property has to pay over $400 for their land tax bill, some as much as $7, depending on the value of the property. These are things that we really need to consider and we really need to look at. And we really need to look at as well, in terms of getting, you know, bring something that the people of Barbados would benefit from. I don't know if you have any questions, Marcia,
Yeah.
along that
But I
line.
mean, I just, you have the information is just flowing out of you. And I love to listen. I love to listen and learn. And, one of the things I gathered from what you were saying, and I was reading the comments, I didn't even realize that other people were noticing how terrible the quality of the vegetables are. Because even I agree with you, the English potatoes, you cut them and there's all that stuff in black stuff inside of them, and everything spoils so quickly. And so it's a quality, the quality of food that they are, that is being imported. But Andre, you have been in the Senate twice under two different administrations. And if you were to describe this administration, 2018 until now, what is the one word that you would describe? What one word would you use and why?
The one word that I would use would be, hmm, I think it is chaos.
Why?
Why? Because this administration has not effectively dealt with any of the major structural issues facing this country, but they have brought the PR and the spin to make it seem as though they're doing a wonderful job,
Mm,
right? And to me, the blunders that you find in terms of just the other day, the Minister of Education basically walked back a little and he will walk back a bit more. And I'm hoping that they will finally decide not to end the 11 plus exam because it is necessary. The 11 plus exam is not the problem within the educational sector. It is the resources that go in before and after that period. So changing the 11 plus will not help to make the education system in Barbados perform any better. But that's a policy that they walk back on again. Um, the one that is right there in your face, I'm certain that a lot of Barbadians are baffled. Why is it that just to bring a circus, which was here in Barbados before 20 years ago, why is there so much controversy? And I would really hope that Barbadians are actually noticing. What is the difference between 568 meters and 1 kilometer? Statistically, when it comes to having a development on property which was zoned as zone one. We knew it as zone one. They did the cost better and changed it to zone A in terms of being on a water course. Because the where the circus was set up, the geriatric hospital is just a stone throw away. So
correct.
if the circus would impact the water resources in that zone A area, what about the geriatric hospital when it is actually opened? What about all of the other activities which go on in the botanical gardens area? And what about if you go on the opposite side of the road, which would be the Bell area, which many Barbadians knew for many years was part of that Zone 1 area? You're seeing a number of housing developments and um, factories or business complex having permission to establish there. So really and truly, at some point in time, we are really going to have a conversation as what is the true quality of our water in this country. Because another thing with this government, they never come out and tell you the truth or all of the facts. They hide
Right.
everything. You
Yeah.
had a business that was closed down for a couple of days, and I thought in a situation like that, you could have been upfront with the people of Barbados and say exactly why it was closed. But you don't get the full story. They hide everything. They believe that they have the control of the media and they can tell you what you need to know. And they can have a minister come and sit down in front of you and read back to you legislation and policies. But that is not really where the problem occurred, right? The problem occurred is because if speaking specific, if you are setting up a tent for a flea market, you have to get permission from the landowner in order to do
Hmm.
that. And
Right.
oftentimes the landowner will tell you, well, in order to have this activity, you have to have public liability insurance for it. Otherwise,
Right.
if somebody is hurt, it is the landowner who will more than likely be sued. So you have to have public liability insurance for the venue as well. In order to get the public liability insurance, you have to have permissions from certain areas. And they gave the impression that Barbados was just this open place that anybody could get off of a ship with 7 or 8 containers and set them up and start selling. Well,
Right.
well, and that is not really how it should be, and that's not the way how it is. And they've taken Barbadians for granted. They seem to believe that we have no common sense. It seems as though they want to dull down our education system, that we are unable to think critically about things that are happening in this country. But thank God there's still thinking Barbadians out there. I would just like them to get up and come out and vote, because 37% voter turnout is ridiculous for a country that claims to have a proper and a high education system, because you have to deal with what, well, you're now living through it. So
Yes.
even if you voted or you did not vote, well, this is what you chose, because by not voting is also making a choice. So you have to live with it. And I find that this government, they're not they need scrutiny. And if they had proper scrutiny, they probably would do a little bit better. And everything they touch seemed to be ending in chaos and not necessarily working out to the benefit of the people of Barbados. To me, there's a level of corruption involved in all of that as well. To me, the will will cause Barbadians to be paying more and more taxes, because if you look at it this way, we have the Green which they spent, the same Barbados Labour Party government, and Liz Thompson was the Minister of Health at the time, went headlong and spent over $100 million to build the Greenland landfill. I'm certain this was way back in the 90s, early 2000s. I am certain that the
How much
loan,
money? How much money you said?
over $100 million.
Oh,
I am certain that the loan for that has already been paid off, or we're still paying it off. So it is taxpayers' money that would have to pay for it. So if a government that continues to make a lot of foul up, bleats, and blunders with no auditor general to help you to get back on the right track, it is the taxpayers who will have the expense, because
yeah.
as they make a mistake here, they will shut
Mm-hmm.
it down, spend money to hide it and correct it, and then spend the money again to put the correct measure in place. Look at all of the buildings, the monstrosities that we have across Barbados. The chicken pen up at Newton, how much money was
Newton.
spent on that, we do not know. The dome in the same Newton area, which is supposed to be a purpose-built facility. If something is purpose built, that means that you already have in mind the persons who would occupy it. Is it occupied?
Exactly.
Is it occupied? Do you have an
That's
occupant for it as yet? So it can't be purpose built. And then I would hate to believe that when you the person comes to occupy it, that they have to make structural adjustments to it as well. You also have the fiasco, you know, we're not seeing any housing projects really going on in Barbados to benefit people. You're not seeing job opportunities. That is chaos as well, because a company cannot come, well, you can't just bring persons into Barbados to work. You have to go through a process to get that done. That process, if you are keeping them in barracks, you have to get a barracks license. That barracks license is approved by the Ministry of Health, because it has facilities have to be inspected. So it can't be no surprise for you to know that you had 3 and 4 persons living in squalor in a one-bedroom sort of situation. It can't be a surprise for you to now know this, because you have a process of how these things are done, a process which existed for years. So it is that this government is just flying and dandy, and soon they will fly close enough to the sun that the plane will just unravel and fall flat on the ground. And you realize that instead of having a plane, that they just had the feathers glued on with glue.
with glue, not even crazy glue,
And
with
with
a little
just
paper glue. Well, Andre, it's been, I mean, I love to listen to you, love to listen to you. And I know you get those compliments whenever you come on the show. People send me little messages, that they love to listen to you. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. And you know how it goes whenever you're able to. I know you're very busy, and you're doing a lot of walking and all of that, so I know you're busy, but whenever you can find time in your busy schedule, you can pop on over here, and just and talk with Barbadians. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening. It's been quite refreshing listening to you.
Thank you very much, and enjoy. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the show as usual.
Thank you. God bless you.
Okay then.
All righty. Bye bye. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I just love, as I said, listening to him because he just flows. It just flows. Well, he was a former senator twice. So I could see why they would have chosen him. He's very much yes, he's easy to listen to. Yes, agree, Sherry, and on the mark. He's with the what is happening in society. He's not detached from it and using a lot of highfalutin big words, and you can connect with what he's saying. And I really like that. I like that a lot. But folks, I want us to take help me, because I might have mistaken some things. I want us to go through this really calmly tonight, because the prime minister might be right, and we're wrong. And so she said that people are making wild suggestions and wild. I don't know if it's us, because from what we understand, they've assigned people to just sit and watch the show, which is good, because there's some things that we're seeing happening from them watching the show. So that's good. That's fine. We are all Barbadians. We welcome everybody who's watching the show. From everybody, you are very, very welcome. And this particular segment, there are over 745 of you who are watching live, and those of you who are going to watch tomorrow morning when you get up, especially those from the UK, hello, we welcome you ahead of time. I want you to go through this information with me, and some of you might be out there, this is your area, and you might be able to help me to understand what I am seeing, what I'm reading. Even Andre, who's just left, if Andre is still listening, and he can send me a message, because I might be missing something, because I don't understand. But let's start with what the prime minister has said. Dave, if you look in your WhatsApp, you will see that there is a quote from the prime minister, and she is saying that the geriatric hospital was not built in a zone A or zone 1 area. And so let's read that first, and then you will, and then I'm going to go through what I have an issue with what our prime minister has said. So I want us to, be calm about it, because we could be wrong. There might be something. It might be semantics. I don't know. But I was shocked, because I remember I learned this through Caswell Franklin on this show, and he went through everything for us, along with we had somebody else on here was into engineering. I can't remember his name right now. He was on with us. John Knox, and all of these people. So I guess Caswell was wrong. John Knox, who is an engineer, he was wrong as well. And what I was reading was wrong. I don't know. Or we might all be saying the same thing, but using different terminologies. I don't know. This is what it is being reported that the prime minister says. She said, you want to ask me, like others, about the geriatric hospital. Let me answer both. Because sometimes in this country, we allow others to set information without it being facts. The reality is that the geriatric hospital from day one was, is, and has not moved. It is always in zone C, not zone A. I want you to hold that there. And that is the prime minister. And if I were to show you the other parts of it. She said that these are people making wild suggestions and being wild on social media. I don't know if she's speaking about this show, but regardless, you know, let's look at some of these wild claims that and these people that are making these wild claims. I'm not a professional in this area. This is not my training. I'm trained in accounting, and I do the arts, film, etc. So I am just going to go through very carefully before Mr. Strickland joins us. So I have to go through actually quickly. So I want to say to the Prime Minister to say that people are setting information before the country without it being facts, and that the government would never have chosen a Zone A area to build a hospital. That's basically what she's saying. Well, I want to say to you, Prime Minister Mia Mottley, that is a very strong statement. But there's a problem, you know. There is a documented public record that cannot simply be wished away, Madam Prime Minister. And I want Barbadians to understand this clearly. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to look at the evidence. So go back with me to December 28, 2023. And Dave, if you could find that article that says Protect Paradise. And those of you, you can take the notes and you can look at it after the show. December 28, 2023, the Barbados Today article says Protect Paradise in the Bell. The writer of that article, I must say, was not some random person on Facebook. The author was not Marcia Weeks, okay? Or even Caswell Franklin, this is not his area, but you know Caswell knows a lot, right? But he identified himself as a hydrogeologist. And speaking specifically about the new geriatric hospital at Waterford, he wrote in that article, we must acknowledge its location in a Zone 1 protection area above the Bell Aquifer. Those are not my words. Those words were published in 2023. The hydrogeologist went on to explain why the location concerned him. He said the Bell Aquifer is an important source of Barbados' drinking water and reportedly supplies more than 7 million imperial gallons per day. The hydrogeologists raised the issue of wastewater from a hospital. He raised the issue of pharmaceuticals. The hydrogeologists raised the possibility of contaminants entering groundwater. And he argued that because of the sensitive location, the facility needed sophisticated wastewater treatment and groundwater monitoring. So my first question tonight is very simple. To the Prime Minister, if this hospital has always been safely and unquestionably in Zone C, how did a hydrogeologist publicly describe the hospital in 2023 as being in a Zone 1 protection area above the Bell Aquifer? Madam PM, was he wrong? If he was wrong, tell us. But please don't tell Barbados that this concern suddenly appeared because people want to create mischief. Because the newspaper archive says otherwise, Madam Prime Minister. And it goes back even further. In July 2022, respectfully, Madam Prime Minister, before this hospital was built, then government MP and your minister. He was the minister of environment, Trevor Prescott, who they said used to just he didn't do any work. He would just walk go off in the botanical gardens, right? He stood in Parliament. Although it wasn't that, he just loved the quiet and the peace. I've spoken to him about that. He loved being out there, you know. But anyway, the former environment minister, Trevor Prescott, stood in Parliament and raised concerns about the development in the Bell area. How many of you remember that? You see, we remember these things, and the record, Madam Prime Minister, respectfully, is right there on the Parliament website. He specifically referred to the proposed geriatric hospital. And Minister Trevor Prescott, the then Environment Minister, he questioned how government could change the use of land to build a geriatric hospital while restrictions existed on other forms of development in that same Bell area because of the importance of that area to the Barbados water supply. And if I recall, he was not the only one who questioned that, but Sonia Brown questioned it, and several agencies, as far as what I understood, Madam PM, and you could correct me, you would know more about Parliament than I would, and I'm not being sarcastic because I really want to understand. I am understanding that almost all agencies said no to the hospital being in that area, Madam Prime Minister. Is that true? Is that what is on record? However, let's get back to Mr. Trevor Prescott, former Minister Trevor Prescott. His questions was essentially this. He says, if the environmental sensitivity of the Bell is such that ordinary Barbadians cannot freely develop land there, how can government change the use of land for this particular development? Again, that was 2022. Now 2026. That was 2022. It was not after the circus controversy. It was 2022. Not after anybody started asking awkward questions this week. The issue predates this issue of the geriatric hospital being constructed in a Zone 1 area on top of the Bell Aquifer predates the Suarez circus by years, Madam PM. And then we come to the government's own records. Let's look at the government's own records. In August 2022, the Barbados Government Information Service, the GIS, announced a public consultation for the proposed geriatric hospital at Waterford. And all of these things, you can look it up. I might be reading it wrong. And what did the government notice say in that GIS notice? It said that consultants were carrying out an environmental impact assessment. The public was invited to submit questions and comments. And the planning application was identified. I have the application number here. Now, truthfully, an environmental impact assessment does not necessarily mean that the hospital was in Zone A or Zone 1. So let's be fair about that. But it proves something important, though, that there were environmental concerns surrounding this development, and that they were real enough that they needed to be formally addressed or assessed. So again, this was not invented this week, Madam PM. Nobody's trying to create mischief. It means Minister Trevor Prescott is a mischief maker. The hydrogeologist is a mischief maker. And all the other government agencies are run by mischief makers. Who are these mischief makers, Madam PM? So let's come forward to August 19, 2026, just 1 week ago. Barbados Today interviewed respected water resource specialist, and his name is Dr. Adrian Cashman, and he's a former CERMS, they pronounce it CERMS director, CERMES director, Dr. Adrian Cashman, about the circus at the Bell. The newspaper discussed the geriatric hospital with him. And Barbados Today wrote in black and white that concerns had been raised about the new geriatric hospital, which is located in the same Zone A area. Dr. Cashman himself said that he had not seen the hospital's planning permission. But what he did explain was that a hospital at that location, he said that a hospital at that location would require very strict wastewater management. He said the Barbados Water Authority would have to be consulted. See, once again, it demonstrates that the environmental and groundwater questions surrounding the hospital did not originate with political troublemakers over the last week. Madam PM, if you are going to be fair, they have been discussed publicly for years within your own cabinet. You said it was never Zone A, it was always Zone C. But here are these people making reference to Zone A. So we're asking you, show us the map. Show us how you arrived at that. Settle this controversy, please. Settle the controversy. Show the people in Barbados, show all of us the official groundwater protection map that was applied when the hospital was proposed in 2022. Lot 5A Waterford, put the marker on it. We want to see. Show us the boundary on the old Zone 1. Show us. I know you guys went in and changed the Zone A, Zone B. We're not talking about the change. Show us the old one. You've made a factual claim. You've made a factual claim, PM. The hydrologist made a factual claim. But the claims appear to contradict one another. These are not my claims. You made a claim and the hydrogeologist made the claim. Your ministers make the claim. I am not making any claim. I am just being a parrot and I'm repeating what I hear the technical officials have said and your own ministers have said. And those claims appear to contradict one another. It's not about feelings. It's not about, party politics. And it certainly is not about mischief. Yeah. Now, CBC reported in March 2023 that ground was broken for the new geriatric hospital in the National Botanical Gardens. And Trevor Prescott also announced that a new geriatric hospital in March 2020, I found, he said that it will be built on the eastern side of the Botanical Gardens lands. We don't understand. The government is arguing that the Botanical Gardens circus site is Zone A, but the hospital Waterford Botanical Gardens area is Zone C. Do you understand? It might be possible. Zone boundaries, do they run through adjoining lands? Can somebody explain? We need somebody to explain what is happening. The government, you have the documents. Release them. Release the planning permission, please. You know, we don't do these kinds of things. And I really hope that, you know, the journalists in Barbados would do the homework. If they listen to the show and they could do some research and ask the questions. The journalists there stood there and nobody questioned it. And there's been no follow-up since. Why? But it's in Barbados today. It was said on CBC. It was said all over. I was able to sit down and find these things. So the journalists in Barbados, you really need to, you know, I thank God for Maria, and I can't remember her last name now. Maria Bradshaw, and I hope this is something that she would follow up on, because it's confusing. It's confusing for us. So we want to know. So the government has to release the documents, release the planning permission, release the environmental, the impact assessment that you all did, right? Release. We want to understand it. Because when you say PM, when you say that people are putting information into the public domain without it being facts, you're not just challenging somebody on Facebook or on YouTube like myself. You are now challenging a published hydrogeologist assessment from 2023. Published parliamentary concerns from 2022 from your own ministers. And even reporting from Barbados today, only 1 week ago. Those records exist. They exist. It's not like in the circus where they go poof and the records are going to disappear. They do not disappear, Madam PM, because a press conference was held today. It doesn't work like that. So I'm not asking Barbados tonight to choose between what I'm saying and what the Prime Minister is saying. Oh, I dare not even put myself in the same category of the Prime Minister. Not at all. You can't. It's not to choose either of us. I am saying to Barbados to choose the evidence. Choose the evidence. Let's look at the map. Let us see the planning file. Let's see the environmental assessments, the results of that. Because let's lay all of those documents on the table. Let's see if from day one it was always in Zone C, or whether there is considerably more to the story than Barbados has been told. So what I say, Madam Prime Minister, respectfully, the question remains open. And asking it is not mischief. It is simple. It's one simple word that we use continually on the show. It's called accountability. And I really do hope that all of us here would go and look everything that I have cited. Go and research it. Research it for yourself. Research it for yourself. Yeah, it is, yeah. Right? Well, we have Mr. Strickland, and I went over in his time, but I will give him back his time because I think this is very important, because this could smear the hydrogeologist and also the ministers, the former Minister of Environment. This could be a smear on them that they're mischief makers. So I think we need to get it cleared up. All right. But another one of my favorite people, I have lots of favorite people. And another one of my favorite people who, whenever I go to St. Lucie, make sure I get fresh milk straight from the cow bobby. Can I say that? I watch them milk it and then I get it in my bottle. It's true. I really do it straight from the bobby of the cow. And I grow in my scallion, and I get my dung and all of that, and a wonderful wife and wonderful children right there in St. Lucie, my next favorite parish, St. Lucie. And we're happy to have Mr. Strickland here with us this evening. Good evening, Mr. Strickland.
Good evening, Marcia. Good night to the loyal opposition. You are going to put me in trouble. You're going to send a whole lot of Barbadians down to St. Lucie. But it's still the best parish in Barbados.
Oh no! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I can't betray. I can't. Somebody says others are not Bobby. I know. I'm the Steve.
Excuse me. Listen, Marcia. I'm from the old school. Okay,
Yes.
and therefore, there are certain words that we grew up with. There was no disrespect about them and so forth, and therefore we continue. So that for those who are not familiar or educated, now they know.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you're here to talk to us about St. Lucie. Where were you when you heard the news today that yesterday that
Yesterday.
about the clean water? Can you tell us all about that? Is St. Lucie excited as we are for them? And are you getting clean water? I want to hear your thoughts on the press conference yesterday about this water, this clean water, and the proposal for all of St. Lucie to have clean water, probably by February or so.
Okay. Marcia, I want to go back to my involvement in the whole issue of the water situation in St. Lucie. Let me state for the records, I am not associated with any political party, any political persons. I am a proud resident of St. Lucie, and I have always advocated for anything when it comes to St. Lucie. Now, I would have joined some individuals, and we would have sought police planning permission to have a motorcade, which we would have done about 2 years ago through the entire of St. Lucie, speaking about the water situation. In January of 2025, there was a ideas forum held at the Darrell Jordan Secondary School, which I attended. At that meeting, while there were those who were speaking about the water situation, I requested a town hall meeting. At that meeting, I didn't get into the situation because I indicated to them we need to have the technical persons from Barbados Water Authority to come to us and speak to us in respect of the matter. Based on my information, that was a Wednesday. The Friday, the Prime Minister had a meeting with the staff at Barbados Water Authority. Even the same night, she said to them, in that ideas forum, that they need to deal with the matter. I subsequently presented a letter as the representative representing the residents of St. Lucie, requesting a town hall meeting, which was subsequently held, I think in about March or so of 2025. At that meeting, the technical people would have shared with us and admitting that one of the problems with the discolored water was an area in the Allendale well where there is sludge which is coming in now. Water goes through limestone into the aquifers of Barbados and they are then pumped. But in that well, which is the only well in St. Lucie used for drinking water, there's an area where the sludge is coming in. And so that they would have indicated that the problem in St. Lucie was the pipes. Any person with a little common sense would know that that was false, because all parishes in Barbados have old pipes. Only St. Lucie was, well, I can't say only St. Lucie because I heard some person said something in Christchurch, but we were and we are experiencing this dirty water. So this, I'm just indicating what happened at that meeting. They also said that they were going to flush the pipes from 6 Men to Boscobel, which they did, and we still continue to have groundwater. Only last week, I said to some person, I have been traversing St. Lucie and I have not seen any work being done anywhere in St. Lucie by the Barbados Water Authority laying pipes. So that it was confirmed yesterday that the pipe laying exercise is finished. So the Prime Minister felt she had no choice but to come to St. Lucie to have a press conference, because as a matter of fact, we were told at that town hall meeting that they will get back to us within 12 months, which meant that they should have come back to us at a town hall meeting, not a press conference, as far as I'm concerned, anytime like April of this year. They should have come back to us. I consider that disrespect to us, the residents of St. Lucie, that we requested a meeting, you asked us for 12 months, and therefore you should have come back to us. I was inclined to write another letter to the Barbados Water Authority earlier this year, but I didn't want to be seen to be political because of elections being in the air and whatever. So I sought not to write that letter. That letter will be coming. Let me say this here and now. It will be coming, requesting a meeting of their choice in St. Lucie, whether the Del Jordan Secondary School or where the last one was held at the St. Lucie Parish Church. Because we need answers directly for the questions that we intend to ask. We intend to ask them. It was extremely disappointing at that town hall meeting that if we had 40 residents of St. Lucie who came out, we did not have 40 residents. I remember there was a particular lady that when she spoke about the effect of that water on her skin that had turned like rubber. She subsequently passed away. I am not saying that that had anything to do with it, but I'm saying that that was shared. There was some person, environmental person. I can't remember exactly what qualifications, but she said at that meeting that there was a concern for students at the Sealer Primary School who were experiencing certain health challenges, which she believed was in relation to that water. There were independent individuals at that meeting also, which shared their concern about the water. So that's what would have happened prior. Okay, now, so when I heard the Prime Minister speaking, and Alex Eiffel, who is a resident of St. Lucie, Chaka Hall, let me start with Alex, who would have indicated that the areas of 6 Men, Chaka Hall, Fustic, Sutherland, Half Moon Fort, but are getting clean water. I'm glad that he qualified that statement by saying that the water that they're getting is from the reservoir at Ashton. So those who are getting clean water, their water is not coming from the well at Allendale. The question was asked of him in relation to the other residents of St. Lucie receiving from that reservoir, and he indicated that um, that well and reservoir is not able to service the whole of St. Lucie. So we are stuck with the water that we have. Marcia, you were in St. Lucie.
Yes.
You witnessed me turning on my tap. I brought a white bucket, which was shown on your on this program, where Dave would have videoed that water being collected in that bucket, and it was brown. It was discolored. As I speak now, it is still discolored, and that's the majority of St. Lucie, where we are still getting this discolored water. Okay?
So
Now,
let's be clear. You're saying that you believe that majority of St. Lucie is still. So what are the areas? Is it the areas that the Prime Minister made mention of that are those areas are now getting clean water? It's just a small
a small
part of.
section. That's a very, very small section of St. Lucie. Very small
Oh.
section. Because I said it is 6 main. Even though I've called a number of communities, this is a very small area. A very, very small area of St. Lucie. Okay? Which, as I said, I believe 6 main, coming right across the Half Moon Fort, up to Sutherland to Checker Hall, full of stop. Full of stop. Those are the only areas that are getting clean water. So that in relation to the majority of St. Lucie, which would be the large areas of Crab Hill, Connelltown, Hope Road, then you look on the other side, Alexandria, Josie Hill, Pike Corner, Bosque Bell. That's a massive area. We are all, based on my knowledge, are still getting the same water, which that water is collected in the reservoir at Half Acre, and which serves the Connelltown, Crab Hill side, and even the same Check Hall. That reservoir serves that side of St. Lucie, and then there's the Lambert's reservoir, which serves Pike Corner, Josie Hill, Alexandria, and Bosque Bell. But all that water is coming from the Allendale well, which was compromised. Now, let me go a little bit further. Now, around the time when we had that town hall meeting, prior to the town hall meeting, they had replaced the filtration system at the Allendale within a matter of months, Marcia. Within a matter of months, that filtration system was compromised, was destroyed, because there were pictures of the pipe leading out of the filter, which was blown off because the filter was blocked, and therefore that filtration system was compromised. I don't want to say it was destroyed, but it was seriously compromised. So that since then, and we are talking now about since October of 2025,
Yes.
October of 2025, that filtration system that was compromised is still being used. Now, I was subject to correction. That filtration system was supposed to be ordered. Yes, ordered. So the issue of in the Strait of Hormuz should never be on the table at all, because we are talking about October 2025, not 2020. Okay, that's
I missed
2025.
something. But what you said about the Strait of Hormuz?
No, I'm saying the Prime Minister indicated yesterday that the new filtration system that has been ordered has been delayed because of the problems in the Strait of Hormuz. And I can accept what she's saying, but I'm saying that since October 2025 or so, when that filtration system was compromised, that was installed only a matter of months prior, based on my knowledge, that filtration system, if it had been ordered back then, that would have been in Barbados long ago. So that I found it really, really interesting, Marcia, that this press conference was called yesterday. There was no I can't remember of any conversations um, of meaningful engagement, which would have prompted the Prime Minister to come yesterday to that press conference.
Mhm.
In my opinion, there's a bit more than in the mortar than the pestle. There's a
Mm.
bit more of the mortar than the pestle. Now, who I saw absent yesterday from that press conference, he could have been there, but the representative for St. Lucie.
Wow. Say that again. That's interesting. But please, I didn't even think about that. So say that again. You're saying
No,
that
I'm saying that this is a matter that concerns the residents of St. Lucie. Okay?
yes.
Now, Alex Eiffel spoke as the technical person at Barbados Water Authority and is a resident of St. Lucie. The
Mhm.
Prime Minister spoke in relation to the whole issue. I would have expected the representative, maybe CBC chose not to show his face if he was there. And he was at a funeral. He was at a funeral this morning in St. Lucie. Okay, so I don't know if he was engaged otherwise or if he was there. But if he was
But
there,
that
I
is
believe.
strange. We need to pause here. That's a very good observation, because if you are coming into the parish, this is my constituency. This you're part of my government, and I'm coming in. Why wouldn't he be there with
No,
such a very important announcement?
no, I'm saying I'm not saying he was not there. CBC did not show him,
But
but
we
for
saw the
certain,
video.
but
We
for
saw the
certain,
videos.
but for certain, there is no indication that he spoke yesterday. And I felt that he had a responsibility to speak to the residents of St. Lucie, telling the residents of St. Lucie, you want what I'm saying, sharing, his concern for what we've been going through. And therefore, you are now, you said you said in about March or April of 2025 that you were coming back to the residents of St. Lucie, and that by then, the matter should be solved. We've been patient enough to wait since then. Now you're giving us a date of December or February of 2027. My question is there something being planned to happen in St. Lucie somewhere between now and then?
Somewhere between now and then. I mean, we're looking through the video here, and we're coming back to that, but we're not. You don't think that if the do you agree, everybody, that if the MP was there, the MP would be at least to the right or the left of the Prime Minister? We're seeing the minister, the other minister there in black, is
Marcia
Minister
Cattle.
Marcia Cadell. She's there. We're not all of this video here. Why would you're telling me that they just is that Tony Moore?
I can't tell. No, Alex is there on the right. I can't tell from here who's that person. Okay. But sufficient that entourage is as large as this one for an occasion which is so important to the residents of St. Lucie. If there's one person I believe that had a right to be there and to speak, not just right to be there, but the right to be there and to speak, would have been the representative of St. Lucie. And I attended a funeral this morning at the St. Lucie Parish Church, and he was there. And the person wants to go back on the video of the funeral that was held there this morning, you will see that he was present. And I'm saying that, and this is not about partisan politics, this is about the fact that you are the representative for St. Lucie. Okay? You have a responsibility to represent all residents of St. Lucie. And what annoys me most of all, Marcia, okay? What annoys me most of all, that this matter relates to 6 men and Boscobel, 2 areas in St. Peter. And we are always only hearing about the residents of St. Lucie. There's a representative for St. Peter. There's a representative for St. Peter. I believe that he had a right also to be there to represent his constituents. I mean,
Mm.
this is what I consider to be representation when it comes to any entity. You know what I'm saying? Any entity, whether it's political or otherwise. You know what I'm saying? That you are the person who have stepped up to indicate that you are the pastor, you are the prime minister, you are the minister, you are the CEO of a company. You are the person that takes all the glory when things go well, and when things are not going well, you have responsibility to step up to the plate. You know what I'm saying? And align yourself with the residents. And that's one of the things that, again, you know, we would have been told in 2025 that, you know, it was unconscionable for the residents not to want to pay their water bills. When we felt
Yeah, actually, I remember that comment because the person who made that comment public was Mr. Thorne. Remember? Am I wrong in saying
no,
that?
no,
I
no, no,
remember
no,
him
no.
saying,
No, Mr. Phillips, the Honorable Peter Phillips, he's the person that made the statement. You want to say that it was
after
unconscionable for the
Mr.
residents of
after
St.
Mr.
Lucie.
Thorne said that the people should not pay.
No, but more than Mr. Thorne would have indicated that because we felt that we shouldn't have to be paying for that kind of water. Okay,
Uh-huh.
okay, so that but I'm saying that he would have responded. He spoke. I don't want to say responded. He spoke. I can't remember in relation if it was in relation to what Mr. Thorne said or whoever, but he was on CBC calling program. Okay, and he made that statement. And then there was a press conference where he sat next to a representative from the Barbados Water Authority who indicated on that occasion that the water was clean to drink. And the
Yes.
water is far from clean to drink. There are times when the water actually has an odor. Now, I would have listened today where the representative for the Democratic Labour Party would have indicated that the test, and this is something that from the time we had the town hall meeting, the results of the test carried out on the water has never been made public. Has never been made public. There have been tests that have been done privately, and there are those who have indicated that the results of those tests are damning for the water. When that individual made the statement, the representative of the Barbados Water Authority said that the water was clean to drink. I smiled because I said to some person, I would love to take 3 bottles of that water, take one to the Hilton, one to Sam Loris, and one to any other hotel to give to the guests, and ask the guests to drink it because they're saying it's clean. That was an insult to the people of St. Lucie. That was an insult to us. Okay. Well, he came out afterwards. The representative came out afterwards, and he aligned himself with the people of St. Lucie and said that, you know, he don't think it was fit to drink. But I'm saying to you that this matter is going to be dealt with, because we're going to request another town hall meeting to get answers to the questions that were not provided during that press conference. Because
Yes.
the results of the testing of the water has never been given by the Barbados Water Authority, and we are demanding that when that meeting is convened, that they're not going to be requested at that meeting. They'll be requested to bring the results of the testings of the water, so that we are able to compare those results with the results that have been done by a credible testing agency. I'm not certain whether it's the Barbados National Standards Institute or not, okay? But they have, because there are individuals who were among the team of individuals who we would have worked when we had the motorcade and the town hall meeting, and among them is a former staff member for the Barbados Water Authority who is an engineer. So we are not. I'm no professional. I'm only here to articulate the matters as they have progressed, but they are individuals who are well qualified to speak. I do know, Marcia, that there are individuals who will not commit themselves in public in relation to this whole situation. because the individuals who um, benefit from maybe government contracts. They are persons who, family members or whoever else that are whatever they those who are are very aligned to the ruling party, and they accept that those persons will be unwilling, maybe even afraid, to speak. But I'm saying that the information will be brought to that meeting, even if I have to read it or some person who has reads it, but it will be brought. And they need to come and tell us based on the testings, because they should be having continual testings in respect of this water situation on an ongoing basis, but they've boxed themselves in a corner right now. And that's what has happened. They've boxed themselves in a corner because the pipeline exercise that they said was going to solve it is now concluded. It is now concluded. There's Barbados Authority, the Chinese and whoever else that have been working together on this matter. None of them. The rules are being resurfaced and so forth, and therefore they've boxed themselves in the corner. One, and I'm questioning whether there is something coming down whereby you're setting individuals up to believe that a lot is being done, and I'm not saying a lot is not being done, but the question is, will what is being proposed guarantee? Now, there was a statement also in the press conference in respect of the desalination plant here at the Hope where the new polytechnic has been built. Okay, there's a proposal for a desalination plant to be built where the American Naval Base was, where the Harrison Point COVID Center was, but that's supposed to be 2 years down the road.
Mm.
Are we to wait on all of this? Right? Are we to run away from are we to wait around with promises, and they've already failed the first promise, and that is to solve it in the 12 months. They've already failed on that. Okay, we are 18 months now since that promise. Now you've come and told us now today that December or February of 27, is that goalpost going to be moved again?
Mhm.
And that is my take on, what has happened in St. Lucie, what is happening, and what, based on what was said yesterday, is being proposed to happen in St. Lucie.
Yeah. As you rightfully say, thank you so much. Because as soon as I heard it, I said the person that I really want to talk to is Mr. Strickland, because I know you're very familiar with this issue and you're going to tell the truth. And so I am so glad that you were able to join us this evening. Lots to mull over, and you're not going to say it clearly, but from the time I saw all of this circus down in St. Lucie, and they had a big entourage and a whole lot of cars and the whole by-elections have started. Yeah.
Marcia, I know found out what I saw last week, because if you're traveling from Mile Quarter coming to St. Lucie, just after you pass which was the Forest Children's Home, which is no closed, and that's the $1 million question everybody's asking, because that the Murray, it was renamed the Murray something home, and they spent massive money in renovating that building, and now it is, I don't want to say abandoned. The grass is growing tall. That's an eyesore. that so much was put into that thing. I don't know. I've not heard any reason why it was closed, whether it was underutilized or not. But that is closed. But after you pass that building, before you get onto the highway, which would bring you from Farley Hill, I saw a lot of trees and so forth pushed off. And I'm saying to
Ah,
myself, for years, I've never seen this area pushed off like this. You want what I'm saying? Because the road going down to the Allendale, that well, I always wondered if anyone goes down there because the trees were overgrowing the area. You want what I'm saying? So that when I found out now yesterday that the Prime Minister had a press conference down there, it explained to me why they pushed off all the trees up at the front because her entourage with only the motorcycle, maybe for the police. That's a joke. But be able to get down there because the whole area was overrun by trees and so forth. So that it speaks to the commitment of the whole thing of the water situation in St. Lucie. But as I said, I am trusting that we will get answers for the questions because all persons in Barbados visit St. Lucie and they use maybe water in St. Lucie. We have tourists that come to Barbados and we have businesses in St. Lucie that interface. The Animal Flower Cave is one example. Cash 22. I mean, they serve a lot of tourists and therefore, they can't give tap water. They cannot offer tap water. You go into restaurants and they'll ask you, do you want sparkling water or tap water? Okay. And most persons will say tap water and they're comfortable. You can't do that in St. Lucie. You can't offer anybody at a restaurant tap water. Okay. So the restaurants either have to get water pumped into a tank by the Barbados Water Authority or by water. That's the reality. So there's a lot of persons that are affected by this whole issue. Okay.
yes. Wow.
Oh,
Well
there
said.
was only one other thing, Marcia.
Yes, sir.
When you called me, one of the things I sought not to do, and that was to speak to the other individuals who were part of the team. That team may be very well reconvened, but I chose not to engage with any of them prior to coming on the program because I believe that integrity is critical. Or integrity of those who are in the team. We have not had any collusion among us against any person or persons. And let me say that publicly, there have been no collusion between those on the team. There may be those on the team who may be affiliated with political parties. That's their personal choice. But when it came to the whole issue of St. Lucie, there's never, ever, and there will never be any attempt to use this for political gain for any persons to
You should
support
not.
nor to criticize.
Yes,
Okay,
you should
and
not.
I want to put this publicly up there. Okay, and thank
Yeah.
you very much for having me tonight.
Yeah, and that's why I said, I'm going to reiterate why I said that I said the best person to, to be on this program. There are others I could call. I said it has to be Mr. Strickland because Mr. Strickland is a man of integrity. And I said that to myself. And if you didn't come on, we would have done myself and Miss McClean, who is here, would be on. We would touch on it a little bit and move on until you're able to come. So, I appreciate that. And like you, I'm also not affiliated with any political party. I want the truth. I want the truth. I'm happy. I was really happy for the people of St. Lucie because I thought, can you imagine? I was thinking today, go into your tap and turn it on, and you can now cook with the water that's coming from the tap. I felt really good. Honestly, I was imagining that in the kitchen, and that we must not downplay that. I didn't realize it was for such a small section of St. Lucie. We're still grateful for that, but there's still a lot
Of
of
course.
work. And my last comment on it is that my hope that this was not just electioneering. It's not just positioning oneself for the start of a by-election campaign. Truthfully, that's what it looks like to me. But thank you so much, Mr. Strickland. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
God bless.
God
Say
bless.
hello to your wife for me. All right, guys. Oh my goodness. Folks, it is 9 o'clock. And I told you, oh Lord, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I told you that we are going to be opening the lines at 9, but not just yet, right? By probably about 9:20, because we have Maxine McClean on, and because we are going to talk about Uber and the taxi drivers. Very, very important. I have Dave, as she's getting ready to come on, get those videos ready from the taxi drivers. And I know Miss McClean is going to want me to, at some point in the presentation, to play those from those videos. And also we have with us, we also have a voice note that was done by a tourist, talking about Uber, which we played on the show already. But we want to join. How many of you agree with me that we need to join with the taxi men? Come on, guys. The watchmen, they are thanking us. The fire, they're thanking us for what we're doing here on the show, all of us together. Can we come together? And even though you might be able to pay a cheaper fare with Uber, can we stand with our local people? Can we stand with the taxi men, please? Well, here is Miss McClean for you. Good evening, Miss
Hi,
McClean.
good evening. How are you?
You sound good. You sound good. The
There is more for you to deal with than you have time, and that
Yes.
is really a serious issue. I listen to most of the program, and I must tell you. Let me start by saying, Prime Minister Motley, you confuse things more than you clarify. I don't know if you agree with me, Marcia.
Yes.
But I think that every time the Prime Minister opens her mouth in recent times, and I'm not even going to go back too far because it is not only in recent times, but I want to say this. I listened this morning and I was perplexed and I made sure to listen to CBC. So usually between 5 and 7:30, I listen to the two radio stations to hear the news. And I took the time to record the Prime Minister and I think I would have shared it with you, because I was confused. I was confused about the circus, the geriatric hospital, St. Lucie Water, and now we're talking about Uber. Because you know what? The Prime Minister had a lot to say in the early days of Uber. And right now, the question that I really want to ask, and in listening to the tourists and listening to the taxi drivers, and let me say I side with the taxi drivers. And I'm going to explain why. Hopefully, we'll get to discuss this now and further.
Discuss this. Go right into the taxi drivers.
Because the Prime Minister and the former minister responsible, Deputy Prime Minister, I would have gone and looked for her words in the case, because what we were hearing was that this thing had very serious restrictions. First of all, let me explain to people quickly what is the business model of Uber. Uber is a company that is making money. It was losing money for a while, but it is engaging in billions of dollars of business. The business model simply is this: it is what you call an asset-light operation. They don't own cars. They don't own trucks generally. They don't have employees. And basically what they are providing to commuters, people who want transportation, and the people providing the transportation, is what you call digital infrastructure. You have an app. They are allowing cash-free payments, etc. And they are doing this for a fee. If the information I generated in my research is correct, because they have something called Uber Eats now. So I can sit in my house if I'm in Baton Rouge, I suppose in Louisiana, where I lived previous for 2 years once, and where the public transport was very limited when I was there. So something like Uber would work well. I can order food from a restaurant and they will deliver it. But you know what they will take from that driver for the food? Between 15 to 30% of the fee, of the fare, or of the bill for the food, whichever. For a taxi service, it is like between 20 and 30%. So what we are saying now, I would have to ask the question: are those, and if this is a franchising type operation where you have an international standards obtaining, that is probably what taxi drivers here are asked to pay them. So you are asking my beach buddy who drives a taxi and was receiving 100% of a fare to give up 20 to 30% of that. Let me put it in numbers. If the fare is $100,
Yeah.
the taxi driver is giving up between $20 and $30 to participate in this. In addition to that, what we were told, and we can go back to that article in a minute, Dave. What we were told, according to the then Deputy Prime Minister, who would have been responsible, I presume that this would have fallen under her then portfolio, was that you had to be a registered taxi driver. My question is, what obtains now? Because from what I am hearing, it looks as though other vehicles are used, which is the standard business model of Uber. Uber is saying, you want a ride, we will connect you with somebody we recognize as providing that. They probably pay an annual fee or monthly fee or whatever, and they pay a percentage of the fare. Important thing is that Uber gets the money up front, because through their payment system, they will receive the money and then they will settle with you. Now, the concern that we have is what amount of business typically exists for taxi service in Barbados. Because the reality is that people have, we depend on tourism. So there are two elements. There's the domestic market, citizens, people living in Barbados ordinarily, and then there's the tourism market, people coming through our airports and seaports. And I would have heard discussions on this show previously. I've heard it in other places where we know that. And when we talk about the business model, the model that we have in Barbados right now is that in order to operate at the port, the airport, Grantley Adams International, and be an official taxi, you got to pay for that privilege. You have to pay to do that. And so if I am paying, I am expecting that I should have a reasonable level of certainty about the business that I get. We know that taxis, for example, people who are not registered and entitled to operate at the airport used to complain about rogue taxis being those taxis that were not parked, that did not pay for the right to operate at the airport. So let's say, for example, a theoretical situation where the cruise sector, it is low season, and somebody who normally operates at the port will say, well, let me go up to the airport and see if I can snatch some business, to use the word of a taxi driver. And that was frowned upon. Now, if what I am hearing, and somebody needs to confirm this might be confirmed by the information you might have had.
Yeah, by the videos and so on.
Yes, other vehicles are participating. You are further diluting the amount of business that is possible. You're spreading whatever business there is now with more and more vehicles, taxis and others. So in a small marketplace, where I think they've had about, I'm hearing myself, there's an echo. In in where I think I saw a number about 4,000 or something taxis or whatever. The arrangements that you have will impact these people, especially if the guarantees that were quote unquote indicated by government are not in place. So it is a concern that people are really being affected. Now the other thing about that as Carol said, the market share in Barbados is too small for the competition from Uber, and it will eventually wipe out some of the small taxi men or force them to give up up to 30% of their revenue for a situation where they probably don't need to do that. So they're giving up a percentage of what they're earning, and they're probably going to earn less because there are no others participating. So in other words, if you're getting a smaller share of the pool, and of that smaller share, you are having to give up 20 to 30%. So you're being hit twice, if you see what I mean.
Right,
And
right.
so really and truly, it is a problem. Now, I have to ask the question: what exactly are I can recognize the benefits for visitors, persons traveling, and so on, but we have to ask ourselves what specific benefits are taxi drivers in Barbados being given or offered under this arrangement. And that is where I would want to hear from them, because as it is given, if it was a very large market and you were seeing yourself being able to compensate for lost revenue by greater loss per unit revenue, let me put it that way, per passenger revenue or per trip revenue, and you are getting a lot more business, then it
could work. Yeah, you could see. Yeah,
but where you're losing part of your revenue, and you're probably facing a smaller slice of the pie, so to speak, then you're hit twice.
Yeah, and you're so right, Miss McClean, and so very well put. And I just want to encourage the taxi men out there. If you're listening to me, it's your livelihood, it's your business. You're the one paying the fees. I know that the average Barbadian, they're going to try to look for, what is cheapest, looking for, wherever they can get a discount, or they can get they don't have to pay all of that money for taxi fare. But remember that when we do that, what are we doing? We're basically undercutting somebody, and we are killing off our local taxi industry. These are our fathers, the same fathers that we want, Miss McClean, to take care of their children. We want them to take care of their households. We want them to come off the streets. Majority of the taxi operators are men. So think about what we're doing. Think about it. And put on top of that, the Prime Minister promised them that all was going to be well. It wasn't going to happen. It was a promise that was made. And I think, I really think that the taxi drivers, they need to say enough is enough. They are the ones that need to say enough is enough. They have to stand up and have to say that. But Dave, you have some videos there, too, by a taximan, Matthew B, who operates taxis, and then there is a voice note from a tourist. So let's just listen to them. Thank you, Dave.
Morning, Matthew B here reporting up at the airport. Here reporting on how Uber is affecting the service of the taxi men at the airport. A few taxi men are about to speak on it, so can you hear from a few of you guys?
Hello? Well, with Uber operating at the airport, I'm against it, right? Because it's taking away work from us. And I believe that we are being taken advantage of, because we pay to operate this airport. We're supposed to have the franchise to supply transport services at this airport. And now you have Uber, Pick Up Barbados, and everybody else come in and taking work from us. So we still have to pay our fees and getting less work. We even got problems with all of it with the complaining about we had Foster and Inks and we had St. James Travel. But people have to realize that before pick up Barbados, and before Uber, we had St. James Travel and Foster and Inks and those guys, and they are accustomed bringing people to the island to bring work for us. These apps are taking work from us, not giving us work, and they're not paying a cent. And even here recently, we have started to realize that private cars are picking up people for Uber. Because when I personally see a lady and I spoke to her, says, "Ma'am, taxi for you?" No, I have someone picking up. I said, "Who's picking you up?" "Uber." I says, "Well, I don't know who Uber is. I being honest." But then I stick to wrong, and when I watch, it was a private vehicle. I came and picked her up. And the lady had the information on the phone with the person face who picking her up and everything. So we are being disadvantaged.
Okay, so what this guy is saying is really true because I personally have saw private vehicles doing Uber work. I'm a taxi guy works in St. Lawrence guy and I've seen it from my own eyes. You understand? But look at here. Look at here, these taxis, all these cabs around here parked. Look, all these cabs around here parked that's paying a fee to the airport. Can I get this thing on the sand? This is not good, Mr. Prime Minister. This is not good as a government. You understand? Matthew B, out of here.
Good night, Barbados. Remember loss in this country, right? Remember, we still have a voice. We, as a people, still have a voice. The government may have 30 seats, but we, as a people, still have a voice. That's why I told the people there's no opposition, but Marcia Rickshaw is the voice of the people. I want the people of this country to know any issues you all have, we can air it out on the Marcia Rickshaw. You understand? That's why Matthew B is going to dub this thing, nip it in the bud. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to dub Wings the night, nip it in the bud. We cannot allow Uber to come and destroy the future of the taxi service in this country that was running and was operating for years. So I am calling on all the taxi operators to come on board on Wednesday night, the 26th of August. Come on board. Let us sit and discuss. We have a calling segment. You can call and air your views on the show. You understand? This one is called Nip It in the Bud. We cannot let Uber take over the whole taxi service in this country. And as I said before, their main interest is the airport and the seaport. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm calling on all those drivers and drivers out there. Come on board and let us discuss this matter. Matthew B, out here.
Yeah. Well,
Hello, this is
before you play that one, Dave, I have let's just wait and then you're going to play that one after. We have Matthew B on the line, Miss McClean, and he's a taxi driver, and he's been contacting me about this. Matthew B, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening to Marcia Rickshaw and the viewers. Yeah, Marcia.
Hi, good evening.
Yes. Can you hear him? Can you hear him clearly, Miss McClean?
Yeah, I did, but he needs to say something else.
Yes, keep speaking, Matthew B.
Yeah, Marcia.
Okay.
As I was saying, these apps needs to go because these apps, in my view, is destroying the living of the normal taxi man that was trying trade in this country over the years. I've been driving taxi for 21 years now, right? I believe these apps came to this country bring a proposal to the government, and the government just asked two questions: what's in it for me, and what's in it for you? Then the public even asks, what's in it for the taxi driver? Well, I believe the ones that join, they will rob them out of some of the money, and the ones that don't join, then the ones will just suffer. And that is just what's going on where these apps is concerned. You understand what I'm saying? And these apps needs to go. These apps needs to go. All the taxi drivers in this country need to come together. I'm not even blaming the taxi drivers for joining, because some people say you gotta blame them, but I ain't blaming them because it's a service that they're hop on board. But you understand? My view is that the government know what the block want where these apps are concerned. Plus, they're trying to head the road cashless. You understand what I'm saying? So I think the government welcome them. You understand what I'm saying? But these apps needs to go.
Yeah. Well, there's a viewer here, Touch Entertainment, saying that the fact that a private car can register and be paid by Uber means that the statement was 100% untrue about needing to be a local taxi driver to operate. Uber is designed for non-registered taxis. Well, what's your view on that?
Well, to be honest, right now, looking at those that are not taxis, that are private, I believe they're going to play a big role in putting a big dent in the airport, because people just come to the airport and collect it. Their relatives just come to collect them. But who says it will be their relatives coming? It may be Uber coming. It's still a relative.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So that's really the airport is going to have problems. Yeah, and big problems.
You mean
you understand?
Those the taxi drivers at the airport.
Yes.
Wow.
You see, some families will go to collect their relatives coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But who said it's going to be relatives? It may be a Uber driver. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or maybe Uber drivers. Because a lot of private vehicles are in it. And it's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
After the night, a guy called me and told me one came there at the Hilton to pick up people. And the men blast them. You understand? So that's what's going on. So the taxi men need to pull together. And you remember I sent you a voice note. That voice note was done in my taxi. I actually was driving and I asked, there were two ladies. I asked them, that was it when Uber first came here. I asked them what they think about Uber. And this lady started talking and talking. So I asked her if she willing to do a voice note for me. And you can play and let you sure understand what's really going on in this country.
Yeah, we're gonna play.
Okay, Marcia?
We're gonna play it when your call is concluded. But one of the things I noticed, and I know Miss McClean will have a question, might have a question for you afterwards. One of the things I noticed is that while you were interviewing that taxi driver at the airport, who they stand to lose the most from this, he wouldn't show his face. You could hear the anger. I'm very, you can pick up when men are angry. You could hear the anger in this man's voice, but he wouldn't show his face. Why is that?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah, it was actually a few of them that I spoke to, and none of them wanted to show the face. But it might be days of school when hey, master can call everybody going hiding, So I think some of them probably scared to be seen by the government or the prime minister or whatever the case may be. Because people are scared to show their face when they have problems to address. You know what I'm saying?
But one would say, Matthew B., this is his livelihood. More than likely, he has a family. He's the head of the household. It's his livelihood that he was going to lose. And even with that, he is still afraid of this administration that he would not show his face?
Well, as we said, we don't know what's really going on, but this whole... It seems like the country is being governed. The country is being governed on the fear.
Wow, that is very deep. Miss McClean, is there anything you want to say to this? This is a taxi driver on the line.
Well, I want to make a comment and ask a question, because there are a couple issues that we're gonna have to grapple with. One of the things is, well, let me pose a question, because we're focusing on the supply side. That's the taxi. We have, in reality, however, and let me preface my comment that I do not agree that we should have facilitated Uber. What we need to do is to ask ourselves, how do we deliver an equivalent service in a situation where consumers, where passengers want the convenience and the certainty of knowing that they will be picked up at the airport and so on, because that is becoming very much part of it. A person says, I don't necessarily need to walk with money. I make this arrangement, I make my payments, etc. So the question is, what can taxi drivers do to facilitate the customer, but at the same time do it in a way that does not disadvantage the country, and which allows taxis to control, that whole area of business? Because the heart of Uber is not a taxi driver, in other countries. The heart of Uber would be people providing a car. So I don't know if you want to comment on that and respond to the question that I posed.
Yes. Matthew?
Well, as I say, I believe most taxi drivers in this country are professional.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? All this thing is about is the government tapping in and those services tapping in to the small man or obviously the poor man pockets in this country. You understand what I'm saying? This is what it's about. And as I say, they're looking to go cashless, so the government glad to see them and hear them. That's all that's going on, in my view.
So you're
But
saying that the taxi drivers, when they are called, that they will turn up. You're saying that they're professional.
Yes, the taxi drivers are capable and professional.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I understand the
Yes,
question.
they get-
Let me
they
pause.
But if a guy is like you're going for a job to get paid, so he's obviously going to go for the job.
Mm.
Are you
Okay.
No, but
professional in the job?
let me ask a question though, because that is understood. But I'm also saying that we also need, as service providers, to recognize that sometimes we have to modify how we do business. Now, I have heard of locals who had designed apps and was looking to probably utilize that to facilitate taxi drivers, because the key point I'm making is that with an Uber service that has been allowed to come into Barbados, at the heart of that Uber service is not an official taxi driver, but anybody with a car who is willing to register and pay Uber what it wants and meets perhaps certain minimum standards in relation to the vehicle. But what the taxi
So
services
you're speaking from Uber Inc.
from what?
You're speaking from the Uber Inc. You're not speaking from the local normal taxi driver.
I am
before
speaking
Uber was here,
from
right?
both. I am speaking from both. I'm trying to understand from you, and this is something that the taxi drivers have to understand. I understand what happens with Uber, but I'm saying that not the Uber. Let's forget Uber for a minute and understand there's supply and demand. There's the taxi supplying the service, and there's the passenger getting off a plane or a ship, or a Barbadian wanting to go from his or her house or anywhere, a restaurant, the hospital, whatever, wanting to get to and from where, from one place to the next. And the question is, given the recent developments where people say, look, I am comfortable, or I would like to be able to just use my phone and call up somebody in a way that they get here probably quicker than before. And you may not be able to answer directly, no, but I'm saying this is something you need to consider.
You're speaking of efficiency.
Yeah. Right, Matthew B. Right. So she's speaking about efficiency and also asking, and I want to say that Miss McClean is not saying that Uber has a right here. Far from that. The question is, okay, so the government has put you guys in this very terrible situation. The government has lied to you all and told you that this is not going to happen, but it's happening, right, Matthew B? We are here, and it's August 26th, and August 26th, this is what's happening to the taxi drivers. What can you do to pivot? What can you do to pivot? What can you do to change your business strategy? Can you do anything to try to hold on to your business? What can you do? I think that's the question.
Well, the audience, what we could do is what they want we do. They want all of us to come on board.
Oh,
that's what it is.
You're saying that they want you to abandon your business and become Uber drivers.
Correct.
That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
Yeah, but I heard that there was even a meeting with Uber. Uber is trying. My understanding is that Uber is trying, Miss McClean, to draw all of these, and the taxi men have been saying it. When I come to think of it, from the day one, that they're going to lose their business. And to come under this umbrella, this Uber umbrella, is what it is. What their taxi men say. But I have built up my business for years. So are you saying that there is no way for the taxi men, say the airport taxi men, could come together and do something to hold on to their business?
All I'm saying that both these, I didn't just talk about Uber. I believe both these apps supposed to go from around here, because I even believe that was here to pave the way for Uber. You know,
Right.
Uber be this thing. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I believe Uber was here to pave the way. I mean, pickup was here to pave the way for Uber. That's my view. But some people may not agree with me because a lot of pickup. I actually spoke to a guy here that on both apps. I will not lie.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to a guy that was on both apps yesterday. The man tell me he bring a job from Service to the Gap. The job is $49. He only got $39 out of it. He then turn and tell me Uber needs to go. But he's still on both apps. But he's telling me that Uber needs to go.
So they're getting less. So even when they abandon their taxi, and to join Uber, they're getting way less than what they would normally get.
Correct.
Wow. So you're losing. Somebody said colonialism. Here we go. So you're losing.
Marcia, I got a run though. So
Yes, you have
I know someone else will be calling.
Yes. Well, go ahead and take care of your business, sir, and be safe out
Okay.
there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Dave, can you play the audio from the tourist for us before we go on? As you're looking for that.
Hello, this is
Okay,
from
go ahead.
Germany. I just wanted to say that you shouldn't bring Uber to Barbados. Hello, this is from Germany. I just wanted to say that you shouldn't bring Uber to Barbados because Uber will kill the business of taxi drivers. It will not bring any joy to you guys in here. And it will also destroy like the jobs of the tour guides on, the tour taxi drivers and even down to the ZR buses because tourists will stop using all of that and they will only start using Uber because, you have the fixed prices and you have the routes and you have a rating on the taxi drivers. So people will stop using taxis and taxi drivers will literally lose their jobs. So don't bring it here. Germany refused to bring it to Germany. They tried it for a time and then they stopped because they saw that it's not good for the country at all.
That was
I gonna need to pay for my Uber with that $3 bill, but I can't pay dollars. I gotta pay with digital currency. But Marcia, let me say something because back in the 90s, when Bridgetown Cruise, I was one of the directors of Bridgetown Cruise Terminal, where there were issues with port taxis and the large tour buses, etc., and the issue of people lining up to get trips and so on, and fellas would complain they lined up and they got a trip, and when they got to the top of the line it was a trip to Bridgetown, $2 or $3. The then chairman, the late Edmund Harrison, sat at a board meeting and we made a proposal. The board members agreed that we were going to lend because there are two taxi organizations. There was a co-op and another taxi operation, two companies or two entities rather representing taxis. And we said to them, we will lend you as a company, we will lend you some money interest-free. I'm going to link it to what, but I need to develop the point. We're going to lend you some money to buy vehicles that would do a shuttle to town so that it is owned by your co-op and so it belongs to the taxi drivers in that co-op, and or you can do and the idea was that once that a passenger came off the cruise ship and wanted to go to town, a taxi driver who waited overnight, because sometimes you will see taxis parked on the road to the port overnight because they are waiting in a queue. And they're hoping they will get an island tour as opposed to a trip to Bridgetown for $2 or $3. And we said, no, you get the shuttle. Anybody wanting to go to town will take that shuttle. And the bus belongs to you. And then later on, you probably can think in terms of using those vehicles. You know what some of those taxi drivers said? No, they want their money in their pocket. They never took it on. Years later, I heard people complaining about the same problem. And there was a solution. Let me say this now in relation to Uber. And I don't know if people understood the point I was making. When we look at the business situation, there's the customer and there's the service provider. The service provider cannot close his or her eyes to the changing demands of customers. What they have to come up with is an appropriate solution that is beneficial to both the customer and the service provider. In this case, as far as I'm concerned, the Uber arrangement, though it is convenient for the passenger, whether this is a Barbadian wanting to get his or her child to school or to get to the hospital or home from a restaurant, or a person coming in the island, that person gets what they want, but it is to the detriment of the taxi drivers. And I raised the question of a local app. What is stopping taxi drivers from getting together and say, look, you know what? Barbadians don't necessarily want to pick up the phone and call and hope that a taxi will get here to drop me. I can get an app which will help me to see that the taxi is on its way or whatever. I can pay cash. I don't have to worry about money. They don't have to be worried about being robbed. But what they have done is they have come together. They have created the digital infrastructure that Uber provides, but it's owned by them. They're not sacrificing 30 or 20 or 30% that stays overseas or goes overseas in foreign exchange. Either way, we lose out on that foreign exchange.
Yeah.
But it stays here, and we share the cost of doing this, but we also share in the benefits. The difference is that this, as I said, because remember I started up by explaining what Uber does. And at the heart of that is the digital infrastructure, which facilitates the person ordering the taxi, paying for it, and so on. And so the business model then would be one in which taxis come together and invest in that. So in other words, there was a young Barbadian who developed a similar app, the capacity to do the same thing. He or she can become a shareholder in that because they're providing the technical support.
Yeah.
Or they can be paid a license fee or whatever. We need to be creative. And in fact, the government, and please change this because I don't want to see this face staring at me quite too fake.
The name of the person not there. So anyway, go ahead.
But the face or the money. No, what I'm saying is that to me, because what irritates me is that these people, and when I say these people, I'm talking about the Prime Minister and her cabinet, cannot see the need to do something like that. The solution that I just proffered is not something that's a rocket science. We have to be empowering people, not making them beholden to anybody to survive, because that's what we are doing.
Because that part of what I was going to say is that, we have to also help to create that environment for
Precisely.
them, because we are talking about them getting an app and so on. You have to remember that their loans, the apps are not cheap, and to set it up is not cheap. But I have a caller on the line right now who has been calling. Good night, caller.
Hi, good afternoon to the ladies of justice. Good afternoon to everybody locked in. Good evening to Barbados.
Good evening.
I just want to make a quick point.
Show. Can you hear it clearly?
The points being made are very excellent, and they work, let's say, practically as we can imagine them. However, we need to look at a number of things. And
can you speak up a little louder, sir? Because all of our volume is all the way up, but you're still sounding a bit low. Your phone probably is low, or you're not speaking loud enough. Thank you.
Are you hearing better now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Let's continue. Let's see.
Right. So what I'm saying is basically the solutions being presented or what's being discussed, it sounds very good practically. However, we need to consider a number of things when we are considering Barbados, and it has nothing at all to do with how far we're going to advance with digitally or any other thing else. The very basics or basis of the country operating has to do with cash flow, how easy it is to get money, how easy it is to make money. If you have an app in place and then a bank in place and then another line in place, even when that taxi person makes money or any person makes money via application, it then becomes a 24-hour wait period to get your money, and you could be hungry right that very second. We are introducing more and more problems into a very small, tiny space, trying to cram and trying to employ. Already the parliament has too many people in parliament. We have 11 parishes, and we don't have any more than 10 or 20,000 to cover for these very, very small constituencies. They're not being represented in Parliament. That's already being overpopulated as too many people being hired. You're bringing Uber, which is a multi-billion-dollar, worldwide, multi-huge city application for non-taxi drivers. You're trying to implement taxi drivers into the application. There's already going to be a problem. That's not how the app was designed to work. What is wrong with leaving what was in existence already? The taxi personnel are already paying exorbitant fees wherever they're registered. Gas is already expensive. The government needs to come to taxi operators and see what they can do for them. Not they need to further accommodate anything the government is offering or anything the app is offering to try to keep up with the times. The more we try to continue to change the things that have been established in Barbados, the more we're going to damage it. And slowly and surely we are all being driven one by one back to the plantation. Maybe because I've traveled a bit more and I'm able to see it in other places. It's very blunt. It's right in front of your face. And sometimes you just need to take a step back of what we're thinking is development and good for the country. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's all.
Yes. Thank you so much for your contribution, Rasu. Are you in London? Are you calling from London? He's gone. Miss McClean, one of the things that this gentleman who called in, and I'm encouraging people to call in and voice your concern, whether it is about Uber or St. Lucie or any of the topics that we are discussing, feel free to do that. One of the things that he said, which is, I hear that a lot from taxi operators, it's the fees that they have to pay, Miss McClean, and so if we're expecting for them to develop an app and they're going to do all of these different things, what would become of the fees? Because they are paying fees to the government in order to operate, and it's not a little bit of money. It's, from what I understand, it's thousands of dollars. And in order to register their vehicle, in order to get the right plates, in order to be able to operate as a taxi in Barbados costs a lot of money. So in trying to get an app and to start this, this new thing, like an Uber, how do they still pay those fees?
No, I think that it requires a comprehensive rethinking and relooking at what is happening. The government has, well, first of all, the taxis themselves, they have to sit down and share among themselves and with the public. These are the costs that we are currently incurring. And ask yourself, what are the benefits we are getting? Because I looked here, for example, in an article, and there's a reference to Barbados Today article, where a Colvin Yard veteran taxi operator say who's been in business for more than 30 years, he's saying that the country's 4,500 taxis. Now, they can show how much, and their association, I'm not asking an individual taxi driver to do any of this. This is where we have, if I wrote down a note here, let me read it. You
just
said
read that
application.
note and then there's a caller. Okay, just read
Pardon
the
me?
note and then
Okay.
the note and then we go to the caller.
Okay.
Thank you.
You said applications and apps are not cheap, but I put down, but pooling spreads the cost. We keep saying that we have to do this by ourselves. I have to get my money today. I gave you an example from the 90s when Bridgetown Cruise Terminals was first set up. And the problem that they complained about and a solution was given, they never took it up, and the problem has gotten worse. So the point I'm making is that you have to sit down as a group and ask yourself, you can be facilitated with people who can help you flesh out your ideas, and ask yourself, what is it that we are doing now that does not make sense, including perhaps the amount of money government is getting off of those 4,500, I'll use that number, of taxis, because that when you convert that into dollars and cents for fees, licenses, and all of these things, and say to government, we need to be able to survive in the same way that you give concessions to all big businesses, etc. And this is how we're going to do it. Let us get some of that money to do these things that you're saying, because at the heart of what I am saying is that we cannot pretend that consumers want additional services. But I will.
Hold a second there, Mr. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Well, thank you very much, Marcia, and good night to Miss McClean.
Yes,
good night, sir.
Now, you know, I am really deeply concerned about what is happening in Barbados and to Barbadians. And I think that Barbadians are complaining too much, and they need to take action in their own defense. Now, I am reminded of the words of the late John Henry Clark, renowned historian at Hunter College in the United States. He said that we as a people need to learn the essential selfishness of survival. And I think we also need to recognize and value Black nationalist skepticism. We are too trusting of others. We are too dependent on others. And I noticed that every other ethnic group believe that they have a right to invade or to enter Black countries and take what they want and do and they please. And if you go back into history to the prior to colonialism, you'll find that that attitude developed from the colonialist time and it continues until today. Now, and every time we talk about nationalism, Black nationalism, or we tend to raise our concerns about what is happening to us, there is always an objection, and our concerns and complaints are taken as or seen as a threat and suspicious. So I am asking, I am saying that it is reprehensible that the government, however you turn, seem to be a party to these crimes against Black people. And I'm asking again, when are we going to stop begging for permission to survive, to live? Do we as Barbadians have a right to live, work, and earn a living to support our families in Barbados? When are we going to confront and decisively eliminate the capitalist predators who continue to infiltrate our nation and do as they please? When are we going to do it? It is time we stop begging for permission to live, to survive. It is time we confront what is happening to us and protect ourselves and our great-grandchildren when they come along.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank you very much. Well said. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Yes, and Nina 5 here 12 is agreeing with you and some of the others. Others see things a little differently. Let me just say quickly here, it's 9:49, and I did say that I had a little something. I need at least 5 minutes before we close to address something that I advertised. I'm trying my best to at least touch it, and I think we will, either Dr. Ferdinand or myself will continue it on Sunday. All right, but we have the line open here. for you to call in. And while you're calling, because you've already made that point, so we will just move on and wait on if we have another call. But just let me just quickly change the subject really quickly, because I only have 10 minutes. And I want Miss McClean to I just want to take 5 minutes just to say something here. And this has to do back to the circus. Sorry, we have to go back to the circus all the time. But just 5 minutes, bear with me on this, because I want Barbadians to keep your eyes open, wide open. Be analytical. You hear something, even if you hear it on the show, go and check it out. Check it out and write me and say, Marcia, I heard something on the show, but this is what I found. And you've done that. Okay. We have a call. Let's take the call, and then I'm going to go back to what I have to say to you. Good night, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
I'm speaking about the Uber situation.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so what I'm saying literally, I don't think literally that we as taxi drivers should be allowing people to come in and allow us to use the app where we have to give them money that is going out of our country.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, as the lady was saying,
Maxine McClean.
Yes, Miss McClean, we need to come together, number one, and we have to build an app. Despite how much it costs, as he said, the more of us come together and fund it is like an investment. So therefore, then, we will allow other taxi drivers to be a part of what's going on, so that at the end of the day, it's an Uber situation, but it's benefiting all the taxi drivers who want to be on board, because you're not going to get everybody being on board. But at the end of the year, it would benefit us. It would benefit our country. It would be able to, the prices would not have there wouldn't be a price problem, because it would be something where the customer, along with the taxi driver, will have an agreement. So we have it would be basically like how the tariff is. So we work off the tariff that the government give us.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no loss for us or no loss for the customer, because there's a tariff that the government provides, and we work on that tariff. And whoever invests in the Ubers will be the ones that would budget, would deal with the monies, whatever the situation, the banking, whatever. And it's just about coming together, because when you look at this situation, it's like us being used as slaves. So people are coming to our country, they are using us to make money off us. And we got to put a stop to these things. I remember I went to a meeting, and there was a meeting at Sherman, and they were speaking about the same Uber thing and everything. And they said, like, we can't do that, because Uber can only work if it's taxis, no private cars. Because if it's private cars, it's gonna hurt us. Now you're having this Uber now, and it's hurting the taxi men in the port. It's hurting the taxi men at the airport, because a lot of the older guys will not really go on board with Uber, because number one, they build their clientele. So a person that know coming to taxi and will jump on board because they're looking to build.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the year, we could come together and I think these things sometimes allow us to come together and understand that we need to come together. And that's what we have to do. Even when it comes to politics, when it comes to a lot of different things, we as Black people need to come together and work so that we can benefit from it and we can grow as a nation.
Yes. Somebody here is agreeing with you that the fees, or a portion of the fees, can build the app, and drop the government fees and build the app. And I think that's what Miss McClean was saying.
Because at the end of the day, government, we are the volume of people, and as we come to civil government, listen, this is what we're going to put to you, and we want you to work with us.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we don't want to be in a position where that people are complaining and there's issues. And then there's another point too for taxi drivers, and it is that we should not be paying road tax. We still pay road tax. Whereas that we go to the pump more often than a private vehicle. So I believe that for us as taxi drivers, we should not be paying the $200 or whatever it is road tax. We should be not paying that. We go to the pump more regular than a private vehicle. So if the government is looking to make money in another way, so okay, well, if we don't pay road tax and we go to the pump more often, the private vehicles could pay $50 or $100. When you look at all the private vehicles compared to taxis, they're going to make more money. And the private vehicles are not going to really feel it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your comments, sir. This is a very, very good conversation tonight. I love it. It's one of empowerment. And I think that's what Ms. McClean is pushing for. Thank you so much.
Ms. McClean has a valid and a very solid point. We need to do that. I hope people say, first of all, this can't work. No, it could work so long as we allow it to work. We got to talk with that. Letting people come in here and cause us to follow their way. We have a way that we have to build in, and it creates jobs to people.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, caller. Only because of time. You're going so good. I would love to chat with you some more. You should call a little more often. Thank you.
Yes, I will do that. Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Oh, my goodness. This is going so good, Ms. McClean. It's a kind of discussion which is great, one of empowerment and not helplessness. But let me quickly, we got to jump into this, the controversy a little bit. I advertise it and I want to touch on it. I can't do it all tonight, and I really can't take any more calls in order for me to complete what I said I was going to do. So, folks, I want you to spend a little time and to look at the timeline, put down some dates, people, on what, with the circus, what we're hearing in the media about this circus. And I know that the government is watching, and I don't know if Santia Bradshaw, the Deputy Prime Minister, all respect to you, ma'am, and the Minister of Environment, if you are watching. But I think that, you guys really owe the public some kind of explanation, because we're confused. Ms. McClean says it. We're confused, okay? I noticed something, and let me just try to find I did up a little graph with it, and I'm going to try to find it this evening here. That when Santia Bradshaw was contacted first, I believe the date is August 13th. Okay, August 13th. She referred the media and anybody who was asking questions, she referred them to cattle. Right, August the 13th. Okay, and she said that yes, that the gardens gave permission, right, but other approvals were required from planning and other agencies, and it makes sense because of what her response made sense, because this is what, when I researched it, and I know Ms. McClean has been in government for years, she would know, and this circus has been here before, that you would have to get permission from lots of different agencies, but it all culminates at BRA. Because when you finish getting everything, then you go to BRA, and then you get that last permit now. In order to operate. And I know this is true because I spoke with someone in BRA. They told me they listened to the show, and we've been saying the right thing. Now, on August the 18th, let me make sure I make this here. August the 18th, So watch it now. 5 days later, now Cattle is now speaking. This is after Santia sent the people to Cattle. And she says that the Ministry of Environment is responsible, that they gave the permission for the entity to operate a circus in the location. Okay? August 19th, Santia speaks. She says, we cannot operate in silos. Miss McClean, what that big word silos mean? What is she saying?
That we can't operate independently of one another, do our thing over here and not pay attention to what you are doing over there. That we operate as though we are separate and distinct and we don't have to relate to one another.
So she's basically, go ahead.
No, that's it basically.
Right. So she's saying, Santia is saying, and it's a real nutshell analysis I'm doing here. Santia is saying, the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Environment, that the ministries have not been communicating with each other. Now, Ms. McClean and everybody listen, we know that this is true. That part we know. You would agree? Sometimes.
It happens sometimes, but I also know that in making certain decisions when I was a minister and ministries had to come together to address an issue and look at it, it also happened. And something like this should happen that way. So
yes.
it makes me ask why we are hearing what we are hearing, but you go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So now she's saying, so she's pushing back. Santia is pushing back on August 19th, guys. Cattle came out with that press conference on the 19th. Santia is pushing back. She said, we have seen, this is a quote from Santia, we have seen what a circus can be made of when we do not communicate effectively. Okay? August 20th, the message is repeated. We cannot operate in silos. August 25th. So watch it. Right? PM Martley comes out and now lays the blame straight at Santia's feet again. And I want you to watch this blame game that is happening. Right? This blame game. And I believe this blame game is on my opinion. So I just stated to you what I saw happen. But my opinion is that somebody is trying to protect somebody here. There's something that is going on that doesn't make any sense. And tonight someone sent me a question, a message, and I want to ask a question. I'm asking a question. Is there someone in government? Is there someone in government? I have a name here and I can say the name. I'm going to keep asking. And when by Sunday, if I don't get a response, I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to put the name there and ask. You are all in government. You're part of cabinet. You should be able to answer any question, right? I'm not accusing you, but I have a name. And I'm asking Santia, they are throwing you under the bus. Do you know exactly which MP brought in this circus? Who is the MP that brought in the circus, Santia? Why is everybody protecting that MP? Or I should ask it as a question, are you all protecting the MP? Or is it that now you're leaking out the information to make sure that we get it? Something I knew from day one. There is no way that circus could come off of a plane and go there with big containers and set up. Absolutely no way. something. And I'm asking the question, Miss Bradshaw, pull yourself together, dust off yourself from underneath the bus. Can you answer the question? Do you know who it is? Wipe your little face, get you some strength, because both the PM and Marcia Cattle, they have you under the bus right now. Why I say that? You might say it's my opinion that they have her under the bus because the Prime Minister came out yesterday and doubled down. They run the bus one time over her and they reverse Miss McClean and they go to broom and they run it over her a second time. The PM came and did it.
I was trying, you saw me muting my phone every now and again. I was trying to find the Prime Minister's words because to say that I was flabbergasted when I heard her speak, because it just, and you know, I hear about the silos and so on, but when you go out there now, you know, I mean, I like how you raise this, Marcia, because it raises so many serious questions. But it makes all of them, all the utterances you went through, the August 13th, 18th, 19th, and the 25th, it makes all of them look real bad.
Yes.
Because you are telling me, I mean, one by one, you're telling me that we have pushed this thing about green economy, blue economy, and I'm not ridiculing that. I believe very strongly in the need to address these things. And I was part of a cabinet that paid serious attention to it. We have talked about, and I bring it back now even to the question of our water, our lives, that you're gonna say this is a protected area, this is a fragile area in Barbados. And the Prime Minister is saying, if I have a grain of brain ounce of common sense, that comment from a teacher keeps coming to mind. If I understand what you're telling me, the NCC, who I presume runs the botanical garden, which is in the Prime Minister's constituency, and she should therefore have extra interest in it, is an area that was and is part, because it hasn't changed, rezoning and all of that, and just moving, but I don't want to digress, we don't have the time. That is something that's fundamental to the health and well-being and the very lives of our people. So you're telling me that anything that happens there should be strict guidelines known to everybody. So I don't understand how you can come and say, well, they were given permission by this, but not by the Water Authority. The Water Authority, the NCC, the Ministry of Finance, the Customs Department, so all of these people should know clearly the do's and don'ts about that area. So when you come to put somebody on the bus, you putting yourself under it too, you know.
Yeah, all of them need to go under, because there is no way. The part that they're missing, I have spoken to so many people who put on events. I call around just to hear, just to talk. I spoke to people at BRA just to understand, making sure, because sometimes you can read something, but it's not, you know. And from what I'm understanding, Miss McClean, there's a big piece of this that is missing. There's a big piece, and it has to do. It may have to do something with an MP who is an entrepreneur.
All right, then. We hear these things. Barbados is a small place.
There's an MP. Do you have an MP in there who's an entrepreneur?
No,
and still doing business and still putting on events and still making money?
No.
I thought that they would have been able to get away with it.
Now, you see, Marcia, this is where I can use the experience of 10 years in cabinet, because I remember asking if it was something legislated or whatever. But let me tell you, when I became a minister of government and senator and leader of government business in the Senate, I had to resign from Goddard's board, the stock exchange, Bridgetown Cruise Terminals, RBTT Bank. I was involved with COB, all of those things I came. The only thing that anything had to do with commerce, I had to step away from. The only position, only place that I continued to serve was a trustee in the Anglican Church. And when I was not able to meet my obligation because I was traveling as foreign minister, I told the bishop and so on that I was going to resign because I didn't think it was fair to be missing all of those. The point is that there was a policy position taken by David Thompson and continued by Francis Stewart as prime ministers that you could not be into to those things. But I've been hearing, and we've been hearing names and all of that.
Yeah.
You know,
and
but
I will give them until Sunday. I will give them until these are public officials. And these are public officials, and we are asking, who is it? And all I'm appealing to Santia, Deputy Prime Minister Bradshaw, it's okay. This is one time. I believe there is something a little more going on, Miss Bradshaw. And you know, when it came onto the check, we really did you bad on the show because we felt that something was wrong. So now I'm saying that I look at it and listen to the people from Bra. I think this woman is being she's being piled on and dumped on. And they have somebody there that is very loaded, financially loaded, and they put on big events. Okay? And somebody, and they're close to the people, the person who says that they do big things. Big things come through them. That person is close to that particular person. So are they? Why can't we get the name of the promoter? If you are having Vibes Cartel, listen, I can't even go into this too much, you know, because it's past 10 o'clock. Miss McClean, when Vibes Cartel was coming here, we knew who was bringing in Vibes Cartel.
Precisely.
When Marcia Matana comes in here, we know who is that.
We know who are the persons organizing crop over bands outside of Barbados.
Listen, up until now, we are not being told. The Prime Minister had a press conference. All we're hearing is about the Minister of Environment. Why just her alone? What happened to the promoter? Is it because the promoter is somebody in government too? And close to the big things must happen through me person? Very interesting.
Big works and big mistakes.
And big mistakes. Well,
that
Santia,
can kill us.
Santia, listen. You find somebody. You don't have to contact me because they will throw you out if you contact me. But you find somebody and leak information to us. This time around, we realize that something is wrong. We smell something fishy, Miss Bradshaw. And I know, you know, we don't agree on everything. And you call us all kind of names, but it's all right. We don't hold anything against you. We are speaking truth.
Right is right and wrong is wrong.
Right is right and wrong is wrong. What is being done to you, which we can see through the timeline. When I have time, I'm going to put up a timeline and you will all see that this woman is being thrown under the bus. But this is where we sign off tonight. We will sign off. I've gone all the way 10:13. Miss McClean, final word, and I'm gone.
Well, you know, Marcia, I think that, and I will end with something that was said by one of your callers, and I think I try to remember his name, but he asked, when are we going to confront, and he used the word capitalist predators, and I would ask, when are we going to confront those political predators? I wouldn't look only at the capitalist political predators, whether it is dealing with the circus, whether it is dealing with efforts to tell us that the geriatric hospital outside of a critical part of our water infrastructure, which is rubbish. That is like telling that sometimes you have a constituency border which splits somebody's house in two. But there's one house, so the danger doesn't disappear across the border because you may, you know, it is a problem. When we have to do that as citizens, and I agree with the caller, we have to stand up for these things. People ask why the taxi drivers didn't. Victimization, Marcia, is real. Everybody ain't got the the guts or the stomach like you to tell them, bring it on, because you have dealt with it and you continue to deal with it every day. But other people are threatened in all kinds of ways. But some of us will say, we, you know, the more you do it, the stiffer our backs will get. But some people will say, no, I really can't afford to put my face out there. But our face is out there. And so we will continue to do what we have to do. And I say to the people of Barbados, look carefully at what has transpired. What have you gotten of benefit to you, to your neighbors, your children, your grandchildren, your friends, even your foes? What is happening that is beneficial to us? Who are the people really benefiting from all the wastage, the bad decisions, and the effort to sugarcoat them and paint them over and make them look pretty? But we have to live here. I don't know about other people. I am not going anywhere. Certainly if I leave, I'm coming back. I'm not going anywhere. And I have to make sure that I do my best to protect this nation. For me, for my son, for my brothers and sisters, and I keep, as I always say, the 4 generations of people that make up my family, if nobody else. But it is broader than that. And I fear no one.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Trevor, I totally agree with you. Don't have the time to even read the comment, but totally agree with you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. McClean. Thank you to Andre Worrell, who did such an amazing job. Thank you, Mr. Strickland, for being a man of integrity and coming on and speaking the truth from your heart. And thank you, Ms. McClean. It's a joy being on the program with you. Normally you're on Fridays. Thank you so much. I know you're not going to be on this Friday, so you're here with me tonight. Thank you. It's a pleasure. God bless you, everybody. Thank you, Dave, and everybody who joined. We love you all. God bless. God bless Barbados.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I think I want his books now.
You got post this on YouTube, man.
You can check me out on get me on Google. I feel what fucking did.
Yeah.
But I've been working on some stuff with some
Yeah, man.
stuff,
Hey,
right?
you ain't lost nothing, bro.
Man, everybody knew I've been trying to do